I'm here. Good morning. Hi, everybody. Uncle Bruce here. Welcome to Friday, February the 19th, 2021. Anything going on in your world? How you been out there? Welcome to Stock Markets with Bruce. Bruce with his own coffee cup. And thank you for catching me and popping by and sending me messages that you missed me lately. Appreciate that. It's nice to have you guys here. It's good to know I have fans out there. Nice to be missed. Sorry, I didn't even upload a video in the last 3 days. I took care of a few things. I had to drive all day Tuesday to get to Calgary, all day yesterday to come back. And then Jen and I had 1 day to take care of a few things. So it was just go. But we're back and happy to be here in Creston. Arrived yesterday in just spectacular weather for winter. How about that? Sunny, calm. Left Calgary, it was about 20 degrees. About an hour out of Calgary, hour and a half out of Calgary. Blizzard winds, like just winds, clear sky, but just wind, and the snow going across the highway. But no problem with traction. And then come into the mountains, and now you're buffeted from a lot of that nonsense. And here, it's just gorgeous. And overnight, it started snowing here. So I'm just grateful I'm not driving today because we have an inch of snow outside and it's not melting, although it's supposed to later. So we averted having to drive through a snowstorm and everything else. So fantastic. Nice to have you here. Welcome to the morning show with the Stock Markets with Bruce. Last night or yesterday in the car, listening to the congressional hearings about GameStop and Robinhood and Citadel and Reddit and all the Congress people, and it's all virtual reality. Oh, not virtual reality, but Zoom meeting type thing. So I'm just listening in the car where Jen and I are driving, and I'm just going, oh God. Again, I was dreading this, kind of dreading it, because I figured what would end up happening is exactly what seems to be happening, and that is, everything bad with the market starts with the word GameStop, the GameStop effect, the GameStop issues, the GameStop short sell problems. The SEC and the GameStop issue. I mean, what did GameStop do? Nothing. They were the stock that was the one in play. I just find it amazing how politicians are trying to protect little investors. And the thinking is we'll just make all kinds of rules to protect them. We'll make it even more onerous on small investors, more onerous on entities to deal with small investors, which in the end will make it much more expensive for small investors to be trading, much more difficult to trade, and reduce their potential to make any money whatsoever. This is the way it seems to be headed. Anyway, we'll follow it and see what happens going forward. How are you guys doing? Welcome to Friday TGIF. I'm glad it's Friday. I hope you're having an okay week. I hope you're going to have a nice weekend. Folks in Texas, I can't help you guys. We up here in Canada, we shake our head at you Americans sometimes and just wonder what is with these guys. I get it, how, Texas wants to be, the Lone Star state and the bastion of freedom and opportunity, and okay. But if you don't invest in your infrastructure, you will pay a price sooner or later. And once in a while, it'll all come crashing down in 1 week. And it did. I think when the bills are all done, with respect to how much property damage people suffered in their own homes from burst pipes, water dripping through ceilings, walls having to be ripped up, it'll be in the tens of billions of dollars. This is going to be one of the biggest disasters that the state of Texas has ever had. And it wasn't even a tornado or a hurricane. You couldn't send the Weather Channel out to cover this incoming storm for 5 days and then watching all the floods and everything. This is happening inside of people's homes, inside apartment blocks, inside commercial buildings, all over the South, not just Texas. Of course, there's Oklahoma and all the states around it. But I think that by the time the insurance companies are contacted, I don't know how many people are not going to be covered for this because water damage may or may not be covered under insurance. There could be tens of billions of dollars of costs and homes that are going to be sold as is because the insurance won't cover it. The people can't afford it. With the compounding issue of people working from home and laid off and the whole pandemic thing, I think there's going to be a zillion foreclosures of homes and just all kinds of issues, all kinds of problems. And this hasn't even been talked about yet, but we haven't got there yet. You wait, you watch and wait. What's going to happen over the next few weeks as this whole fallout comes out? And then, of course, everyone's pointing fingers at everyone else in Texas. I love how Texans do it. Mind you, we do the same thing up here. When something goes wrong, we point fingers. I mean, it's human nature. But you don't want to be part of the national power grid. You're asking for trouble. You got it. Maybe once every 10 years only, whatever. I can't understand why Texas wouldn't want to be part of the national grid because when hurricanes come through and wipe out, half of Houston or, part of the coast, you'd think power coming from the outside would be welcome and deals. But again, I'm not in the USA. I'm not American, so how do I know? But we up here cannot believe how ill-prepared so many people are down south when a cold front comes through. I mean, geez, the cold front you guys got in Texas, yeah, it was cold, but that's nothing like we get here all the time. Although we are, we're ready for it, of course, and everything here is built for that kind of thing. But how lax it seems to be with respect to power companies being able to put up infrastructure that is only capable of handling temperatures down to the 30s or 40s, and that's good enough for the government to say, yeah, that's okay. I'm amazed. Up here, government up here will not allow you to operate any kind of a utility type function unless it is really heavily regulated for a good reason. We don't want it to fail when you don't want it to fail when it's 40 below out and lives could be lost in minutes, hours. You don't want power to go off at hospitals where you have life support systems or prenatal care facilities or in the middle of an operation for a cancer patient. You just don't want stuff to fail at certain times. The vulnerable and the senior centers, and it just goes on and on and on. I mean, up here, it's a whole different ball game where in the US, there's like 50 separate little ball games, 50 different states, cats going all over the place. And we're just up here going, man, when are these guys going to get their act together? I thought it was called the United States of America, the United States of it, but that word doesn't seem to apply in many instances. And so we get these fascinating stories and pictures of ceiling fans with icicles hanging off of them. We don't see that in Canada. We just don't see that in Canada. And then horror stories of people showing pictures of their homes where water was coming through their ceilings, and then it froze in icicles inside their house. Like, we're just, oh my God! And it's day after day, no power for like a week and stuff. It's heartbreaking, shocking, unfathomable. The most powerful country in the world. This can happen there? Like, really? Texas is Texans are usually pretty resolved people. You don't mess with Texas. Don't mess with Texas. But the weather just creates unbelievable havoc. We always love the videos, by the way, here in Canada. We love it when Atlanta gets frozen over and they have all those car crashes, or we'll see those videos from the highway patrol, or they have those cameras up on those tall towers showing a 7-lane expressway, and you see the cars just losing it because they're all driving in summer tires. Here in Canada, we find that funny because we're watching curling. We're watching curling with cars, and one car hitting another, and it's tragic. We hope people don't get hurt and killed, but it's sometimes so comical to see that. And we love YouTube videos up here in Canada where we see cars trying to come down hills in Massachusetts or Ohio or Michigan, and the vehicle has the brakes on, and they start sliding sideways, and they just go all the way down the hill. It's just We get a kick out of that. I know Americans laugh at Canadians for stuff we do, but we have fun the other way around. But we do scratch our heads sometimes and wonder, what are they? Why aren't they? How could this? Seriously? No. But now the dollars are adding up, and there are. I'm sure there are voters, registered voters, in certain communities throughout the state of Texas who are saying to themselves, have we got the right people in the right spots with the right intentions, looking after our needs? Because one of these comes up and it's going to take us 3 to 5 years to recover from this. I mean, there are going to be people who are going to be, I see every handyman busy now. That's good news. If you're a plumber, an electrician, a drywall guy, a painter, flooring specialist, good times. If you're home hardware, you're the Home Depot people in Greater Texas, you're the Walmarts, good times. Oh, you got stuff to sell, people. But God help if you need to hire one of these guys in a neighborhood where every house got, all kinds of issues. We're going to hear the next round of horror stories. The so-called contractor that isn't a contractor or was run out of state in Oklahoma or run out of Mississippi and now setting up shop in Texas because it's so deregulated. These guys are showing up to give quotes and they want their $10,000 deposit to put you in line, and then they show up. They don't show up. Wait for these horror stories. They're coming. They're coming every time we hear it. We hear it when there's a hurricane, tornado disasters. We hear all these horror stories down the road a year later. Watch for this in Texas. Gonna be crazy. Oh gosh, I feel so sorry for those the innocents who are just about to be taken for a ride upon a ride upon a ride. Unbelievable. Anyway, welcome to Friday. Bruce is here. Uncle Bruce is back. I gotta say, was wonderful spending some time with our daughter, a very, very precious time. But she just looks at her dad and goes, man, I can't believe how many people follow you on that stock market channel. It's unbelievable, Dad. It's really cool. Her friends tell her they were watching me, and because her friends are millennials, and they're just, he's great. He's fantastic. Really having a good time watching your dad. Thank you, all of you out there who are watching. Thank you, all of you, for your support of this channel. Appreciate it, of course. This whole 3-day break had to be done, and I dreaded it, knowing that I'm going to be off the air for 3 days, right in the middle of the week. But there was no way around it. Had to be in Calgary on a work day to get done what we had to do, and so we're good now. We're here, and we're fine, and it's all good. Yesterday's hearings, the Congress thing. If any of you, were what's the word I'm looking for? If you wanted to suffer, knowing you were going to suffer, and listen to that whole thing or watch it, you must have been rolling your eyes halfway through that, or 3/4 of three, or every 10 minutes you would just go, oh my God, I can't believe these questions. Yes or no answer to a complicated. I want the meaning of life. Give me a yes or no answer on the meaning of life. Here it is. I'm going to take 4 minutes and 40 seconds of my 5 minutes, explain the question to you, and I'm going to give you 20 seconds, and I want a yes or no answer. And if you don't answer yes or no, you are obviously trying to hide something. Payment for order flow. Are you sick of that little one-liner? Payment for order flow. Any idea what that means, kids? In plain English, anybody know? Anyone? Yeah, they didn't come up with other lines like board lot versus odd lot. You've never heard that term before, I bet you. I don't think I've ever mentioned it. You didn't hear that yesterday. You didn't hear anything about the spread, did you? The spread between bid and ask. Did you really hear about that? I've got to talk to you guys about market basics to help you understand what these people were trying to talk about yesterday and why it affects you as a retail investor today, going forward. And you got to understand how the game works to understand what the game is and what the game was and probably where it's headed. to kind of give you a better handle on things. So I got to work a few things out with you. The first thing I'll mention to you is that when I entered the business in 1978, 79 as a stockbroker, as a rookie broker, I was entering a world that had been around since the 20s, where it was all done by telephone. I talked to my client on the phone. I write an order, a buy or a sell order after that phone call, or because of that phone call. Either I generated or the customer called me, whichever. I would hand the ticket to my desk trader, who got on the phone to talk to the floor, the stock exchange floor, depending on where the stock traded that I was trying to buy or sell. Sometimes I'm trying to sell a stock trading on the New York Stock Exchange. I'm trying to buy a stock that's trading on the Toronto Stock Exchange. So he or she, but usually it's a he, would call another desk trader at a larger house that was a member of the New York Exchange, place an order on behalf of the firm, because that entity didn't want to know what our client name was. They didn't care. They just were dealing house to house here. And so my floor trader calls another floor trader, puts an order in with that guy, sell XYZ, whatever. That desk trader calls either his head office in New York, desk trader, who then calls the floor, or this guy has a direct line to the floor. It all depended on the company. The runner on the floor, the phone guy on the stock exchange floor, would get this order, sell 500, whatever, and then would either do a hand signal to his trader at the pit where this stock traded, or he would have the ticket written, the sell ticket. He would run it to the trader in that area, and that trader would then deal with the other floor traders for these particular stocks, including this stock, and execute a deal. Hand a completed ticket back to the kid, or signal him, or put it on his post. The kid would come running, grab it, run back to the phone, know that this order came from this desk, call this desk trader with the filled order. We call it a fill. And he'd do that, and the desk trader would then call his desk trader that called him, and then that desk trader would call my desk trader at the brokerage firm, and my desk trader would write a fill on that ticket I gave him. There'd be three parts, and the one part would be mine, one part would be the desk traders, and one part would be the office administrators. And I'd see in my little round cubby, there'd be a little pink piece of paper there. That's a fill. I'd go up there and pick it up, and I look at it, go, oh, sold all 500 at whatever price per share. And I'd see the customer name and the account number and my initial on it. It's my order. That's the one I did. And I would go back to my desk, and if I had the buy order filled at the same time from, again, a whole different routing system, but again, phone call, I could now call my client back and say, okay, we sold these shares for this much, and we brought in $5,000. We bought these shares for that much. We spent $4,000. You got $1,000 lying around in your account. You want a check for that? Because that's probably why the customer called. Yeah, I'll prepare a check for you. And within a week, we'd have a check for the customer, because it would take a week to settle it all out. And we'd either mail it to them, or I would deliver it to them. We'd meet at a bar at the end of the day, or I'd go out for lunch with them and just have a chance to chat, hand them his check, and just compare notes, or we would just send it up by courier, whatever we had to do. That's how it used to be done. Today, you just use your phone, and you have a Robinhood account or a Fidelity account, and you sell this stock. You've got your little phone telling you all your logos are there for every stock you own. So you click on your Apple share logo, and it tells you you've got half of a share worth $140 a share, $70 of Apple. What do you want to do? Well, I want to sell it. What do you want to sell it for? It's trading at 140, 141, whatever it is. Just want to sell it at market, and I want to use those proceeds to buy Amazon. And so you sell the Apple, and by the time you hit the Amazon button to buy Amazon, you've already got your fill. You've already got an electronic confirmation. You got $78 in your account. You sold the stock, and you can read the order if you want. You can go look at all the details about that order, but you don't. You just go, oh, I have $78 now in my account. I want to buy $78 with Amazon. You enter that order, and in 2 seconds, 3 seconds, done. You fill it. There is no phone call. There is no floor trader. There's no runner. There's no floor desk trader to desk trader to. This is all electronic. This is all on a computer, and it's from your machine to Robinhood's machine or Fidelity's or Schwab's or whoever you use, and their machine is accumulating zillions of orders. They have millions of accounts now. These houses have millions of you going at all times, and so they've got probably 10,000 orders happening within every second or two for Apple to buy or sell, and both buy and sell, and Amazon buy and sell. The FANG stocks, the big traded FANG. There's tens of thousands of shares looking to move around all the time through Robinhood, Fidelity, whatever. And these guys don't have their own. Well, in case of Robinhood, they don't have their own seat on the New York Exchange to do their own trades. They go through Citadel, who we saw yesterday. You saw on TV yesterday if you were sad enough to watch it all day. Sorry. Citadel desk, quote, gets the orders from Robinhood, but there's no desk. It's a computer server station in New Jersey somewhere. It's computer to computer, nanosecond to nanosecond, and Citadel is bringing in buy and sell orders from thousands of shares, dozens of clients, including Robinhood, and they're just matching up orders like crazy. They're trying to put together 100 share board lots of stock at a time to buy and sell. So what they want to do is they want to get 100 shares of Apple together in a block, a bunch. So there's a quarter share from this person, 2/3 of a share over here, half a share over there, 4.2 shares, 8 shares, 1 share, 8/10 of a share, all coming in nanosecond by nanosecond, and then they got 100, they got another 100, they got another 100. They're buying 100, selling 100. But what they're doing is they're seeing what the market is trading at, what the stock is trading at on the stock market, where there still is a stock market, New York, NASDAQ is all computerized. They see the stock trading at $140 bid and $140.05 offered. So the spread is a nickel. Between buy and sell is a 5-cent spread. At that nanosecond, that 100 shares are ready to be bought or sold or both. And these guys are doing a trade somewhere in between that on your behalf. So you put an order in to sell half a share at market. And at that nanosecond, the market was 140 to 140.05. $140.05 on the sell, $140 on the buy side. And you get a fill, you get a report that says you sold your half a share, whatever it was, at $140.015 a share, like 1/15/100th of a penny above 140. So it's in the spread. It's in between 140 and 140.05 or 140.02 or 140 and 1 penny. It could be a 1 penny spread. You're in there somewhere on the sell. And if you're a buyer, same thing on the buy. You're going to get a fill that says you bought a quarter share for $140.85 a share. So not quite 1 penny over $140, but 85 hundredths of a penny. The difference between the buy and the sell, this half a penny, 2/3 of a penny, a quarter of a penny, whatever it is, times 100 shares at a time, times thousands of shares traded every minute is how Citadel makes its money. And Citadel carves a piece of that money to Robinhood for their share. That's called payment for order flow. And the more business you give Citadel, the bigger the slice of the action you get. Because after all, if you're giving them 10% of their business versus 50% of their business, they're going to give more of their action to their 50% player than their 10% player. It's a volume business. They don't care what the stock trades at. They don't care if it trades at 138, 144 during the day. It doesn't matter. What's the spread? What's the difference between buy and sell? And where can I make these trades happen at? Where can I take my quarter of a penny, 2 pennies, a half a penny, whatever the pennies are? You, as a buyer, don't get charged a commission. Or a seller, you don't get charged a commission. You just get your fill. You get told you bought it at $140.15 a share, or you sold it at whatever. And that's all you care about. Because in the old days, when you used to call me in person, number one, you couldn't order 1/2 a share of Apple with me. I would hang the phone up on you because you're gagging me now. You're playing games. Because in those days, you had to buy a 100 share board lot. Shares traded in 100 board blocks. But of course, in those days in 79, we didn't have $150 stock all that often. That was like unheard of. We had $5 stock, $3 stock, $20 stock. Like AT&T, the telephone company might be a $20 stock. IBM might be a $35 stock because it's like the top gun stock of the stocks. Whereas Ford might be $8 a share. GM might be 12. So to buy and sell 100 shares of GM is $1,200. But at that time, you would give me the order, and I would buy you 100 shares of GM. And say it was 12 to 12 and a quarter was the spread. We would talk on the phone, and I tell you what the price is, and you'd say, well, what do you think we can get it at? Because we're wondering. So I said, why don't we try to buy it at 12 and an eighth? We'll go down in the middle. We'll prepare to pay $12, 12.5 cents a share down the middle, because that's all we could do. We couldn't go 12.02 or 12.03. It had to be either $12, 12 and an eighth, 12 and a quarter, 12 and 3/8, 12 and a half. It's 12.5 cent increments between buy and sell. So we go in at 12 and an eighth to buy 100. And when I put the order in, I saw the market at 12 to 12 and a quarter. Now, a minute later, by the time these phone calls all got made, the guy's yelling at his pit, got 100 GM to buy at 12 and an eighth. He'd yell, eighth bid GM for 100. And the market would change. It would now be 12 and an eighth to 12 and a quarter. Doesn't mean I got it. It's just I'm the bidder now. I'm the highest prepared bidder. I'm the guy that's willing to pay the most at this moment in time for stock. Now, a second later, 10 seconds later, 15 minutes later, the stock might never trade at 12 and an eighth. It might only trade at a quarter and go to 3/8 and go to a half. And we missed it. We're sitting at an eighth waiting to buy, and no one's selling to us because it's trading away. Or it did trade to us and then went higher, or it traded to us and went even lower. It's now 11 3/4. We could have bought it down there, but we paid 12 and an eighth. What are you going to do? We don't know. We're just trying to guess at the moment what we want to do. So we want to buy 100 because we think it's going to go to $15 or $20 in the next year or two. We put that order in. Today, it's all on the telephone in a microsecond within pennies, if not hundreds or thousands of a penny. Not uncommon. And so payment for order flow is, again, this spread. Now, coming back to my day, just to finish that off, you want to buy 100 shares of GM from me, through me, at 12 and 8. That's a $1,212.50 order. That's what that order's worth. The commissions in those days were about 3% of the value of the trade. So in this case, it would come out at $37 roughly a commission to buy it. So you have to pay that on top of your price. So now you're into this thing for $1,250 because you paid $1,212 for the stock if you got it, and then my fee on top of that, you're now into it for $1,250. You want to sell it a week later because something came up, your car broke down and you needed money. If they're trading at $12 and you want to get out at 12, you're going to lose an eighth. That's already $125, 12.5 cents times 100. But you're also going to get charged a commission on the way out the door, another $37.50 at least. Now you've lost money. You've lost all kinds of money. If it's trading at $13, it went up a little bit, but now you have to sell because you can't hang around. Well, now you're getting $1,300 on the sell, less the commission, another $37.50 or $39. Your commissions were $75. So you paid $1,212. You got $1,300 less the commissions. You broke even on it. You made maybe $10. And that was the world at that time. That was the way it was. Where today, you get the fill that says, yeah, you bought in at $140 and 8/10 of a share, and someone else got a report saying, oh, you sold 100 for $140 and 1/5 of a share, a penny a share, and no other fees, no other charges. So theoretically, you can buy stock at $140 a share and sell stock at $140.50 a share and make money if you can move enough stock to make it worth your while. So You put an order in to buy 1,000 shares of Apple at $140 a share. That's a $140,000 buy order. And if you could sell that stock 5 minutes later for $140.50, that's $140,500 on the way out. And you tell the broker, I will pay exactly no more than 140 is what I'm prepared to pay. And $140.50 is the least I'll take on the way out. And you figure out the differential. So now the broker's trying to buy it for less than 140 to give you your 140. And they're trying to sell it for more than 140.50 cents to make a little spread to give you 140.50. But if they manage to do that in these nanoseconds, you just scored a $500 profit on a $140,000 purchase. Where in my day, if you called me with a $140,000 order, I would be grateful as heck for that kind of business. But it would still run you. You wouldn't have to pay 3% commission because those kinds of orders would get a better deal. But you would still be dropping to me a 1% commission, $1,400 on the way in, and $1,400 on the way out. And if you only made a $500 profit, you lost $2,500. You couldn't flip a stock for 50 cents a share in my day, even trying to flip 1,000 shares. You'd lose money. So that's how things have changed over the years. And this is why today, when you hear these congressional people talking or people talking to the Congress, they're trying to say at Citadel, and they're trying to say at Robinhood, and they're trying to say at Schwab and Fidel. They're all saying the same thing. The retail investor of 2021 has got it way better than the retail investor from 1979, this guy, or 1980 or 85 or 1990 or even 15 years ago. Retail investors today have got it a lot better than retail investors had it in the day where Bruce was the stockbroker. And then from a fee perspective, you're absolutely right. From the personal handling of your affairs, no, you're way off. You get way less. But you know what? You get what you pay for. Back in 79, you paid for me. You had to pay for me to help you. And so I would guide you through the whole process. I took care of all that. The hassle of the buying and the selling and the wheeling and the dealing and the getting the fill and yelling at my desk trader and getting, that was my job. I had to help you. And then I would meet you for a drink maybe after work. If we were frequent traders, I'd buy you a drink after work at our favorite bar, and we'd review the week or the month together. I'd bring your statement with me, and I'd go through all of your trades with you. We'd spend an hour. And it would be a pleasant time. And we would plot our strategy for the next month. Or, you know, if you're in the oil business and you've got friends in the oil patch, I'm plugging you for information about what you're hearing going on. And you're plugging me for information about what I'm hearing going on. And we've got a partnership going here. That's what we used to do. But that doesn't exist anymore. If you've got a $3,000 account, you can't have a broker like me anymore because you can't afford me. Because my firm won't let me deal with you. You're too tiny for us. We can't charge you 3% commission like we used to because you wouldn't deal with us. As a matter of fact, with $3,000, you don't need to deal with me at all. You can just buy and sell yourself if you kind of know what you want to do. But when it came to this one-on-one meeting thing, you don't get that anymore with the package you used to get when you used to have to pay a minimum 3% commission or a minimum $50 or $25 fee per trade, or then it went to 50, eventually went to 100. We priced ourselves out of the market. We became so expensive. Guys like me became so expensive to the house because, you know, we demanded a living. So the brokerage firm was going, geez, if I got 25 Bruces lying around here, I got to drop $5,000 a month on each of these guys minimum. And I got to give them incentives to make even more. That's $125,000 a month just for Bruce. Then I got the assistants that these guys need and their quote machines and the office space and the overhead. Bruce is running me $250,000 a year. Just to have him sit here, it's $250,000. $5,000 a week is what this guy costs me. He's got to generate $5,000 gross in commission a week. So I, the boss, break even on this guy. How much business does this guy have to do to generate $5,000 a week in gross commissions? And we can't charge 3% anymore. We're down to 0.5%, 0.25%. We've got flat rates. We have a percentage of the value of the portfolio. I mean, Bruce has got to have $10 million under administration, under his, cubicle. And we're going to get 1% a year of that towards the house. That's 100,000 or whatever. Bruce needs a lot of cash in here. We cannot deal with $3,000 customers. Bruce doesn't pay. And so you're relegated to the app. But the app gives you something you didn't have before. Of course, if you were 30 years old in 1980, when I was your broker and I was 25, today you're 70, 71. Are you day trading on your phone? Probably not. Do you even know your first name anymore? Can you stop drooling in the napkin? I mean, how are you doing? It amazes me that some of my clients who were in their 40s and 50s in 1980, they're gone. They are gone. They're not here anymore. That's the scary part about getting old, is everyone gets old. Anyway, so payment for order flow. The folks in Washington were hearing a lot about that, and that works really well when you as a customer, you as a client, you as a investor are allowed to buy and sell. When you can buy and sell on your phone and get instantaneous quotes, fills, all this stuff, and then it's great. It kind of screws up though when you enter an order to buy like 10 shares of GameStop and they won't let you do that. That's when payment for order flow. I keep looking at the quote because I keep forgetting it. It's right. I've written it down. Payment for order flow. When that doesn't work, they don't allow you to buy and sell. They don't get payment for order flow either. And so the brokerage firm isn't making money. You're not allowed to make any money, and the system is breaking down. And I've noted, I may have mentioned this a few times to some of you. I know some of you pay very close attention to what I say, which I do appreciate. I'll say something like, if you don't allow a person or people, investors, you don't allow them to buy a stock, you only allow them to sell a stock. Generally speaking, in my experience of being a stockbroker, the price of the stock usually goes down when you're not allowed to buy and you're only allowed to sell. There seems to be a tendency for a lot of sell orders to come in, but not so many buy orders coming in. And when you have that kind of an imbalance, over time, like after an hour or two or a day or two, the price of shares usually decline. And that's what happened with GameStop. Did you notice that? How that worked out? How from 438 down to 50 or so the other day, now in the 40-something, it went down. Wow, that's that. Now there is some shocking commentary. And I was wondering what those Congress people thought of that. I wonder if they could put two and two together to figure out, if you restrict people from buying stock they want to buy with cash they have, the stock that they want to buy gets cheaper every hour that they can't buy it, and yet they still can't buy it. They come back and say, well, I was going to buy 10 shares at $300 a share. I'm going to buy 15 shares at $250 a share. I'm going to buy 25, 30 shares at $200 a share. I'm going to buy some at $150. You don't let them buy it there. You won't let them buy it down to $140, $130, $120. When will you let them buy it? Well, the broker says, well, when we can reduce the risk factor, to the client, then we allow them to buy the stock again. AKA, otherwise known as, and we, the brokerage firm, are undercapitalized, and we're on the ropes. We're about to go bankrupt at any moment. If our clearinghouse says cough up your $3 billion right now, or you're shutting down, as soon as that call comes in, we're done for. And lucky for Robinhood, they didn't get that phone call. They almost got that phone call, but they didn't get that phone call. They were undercapitalized for their 8 million clients, or whatever the number they have clients they have. It is absolutely ridiculous. And who's to blame? Not the customer. No. GameStop? No. GameStop, not to blame. Who? Hedge funds? Are hedge funds? No, not the hedge funds. It's not their fault that a brokerage firm is undercapitalized. It's the SEC. Comes down to the Securities and Exchange commission overseers of the business itself, they're to blame. That's their job. Their job is to make sure brokerage firms are properly capitalized. Their job is to make sure that everything is flowing properly. Their job is to make sure that the information that must be disclosed to the street, everyone, is disclosed. It's their job. Were they at the meeting yesterday? Did you see anyone on your television set, or did you hear anyone on your podcasts, or however you were listening to it? I was listening to it on my satellite radio in my car. I didn't hear anyone from the SEC being hauled in by Congress to be asked any questions about what happened to GameStop. Did I miss something? Because I don't think I did. I listened for hours. I drove a long distance yesterday from Calgary to Creston. I didn't hear anyone from the SEC being interviewed by anybody from Congress. No. I still don't know if the SEC is even going to be brought in for a chat. Because you know what the SEC does? That's our department. Piss off. Go away. We don't need you. Congress, go away. We'll take care of it. This is a country club, and you're not part of it. All right. We handle our own affairs, and we'll do our own investigations, and we'll do our own rulings. And I'm sitting here going, really? Yeah, really? It's been 2 weeks now, 2.5 weeks that GameStop did what it did. I haven't heard a peep out of you guys about any new clarity coming around. I'm hearing zero. I'm only seeing on television the talking heads who are claiming the SEC is looking into it, or there should be an investigation as to the people who traded the stock. They should be investigated. After all, those retail investors are the crooks here. Really? That's interesting. Someone trying to buy a share of GameStop is the problem. And then it's not them, it's GameStop. They're the problem. If their shares weren't listed, we wouldn't have this problem. Think about that. Nobody wants to blame the hedge funds. Nobody wants to blame the Robinhood people necessarily, although some do. But the SEC just kind of, no one blames the SEC. They all kind of go, well, the SEC is looking into it. No. You blame the SEC. That's what I'm thinking. You blame those guys. They're the ones who are supposed to be monitoring it all. They're asleep at the switch. They're so in bed with these bankers and brokers and the exchange officials. They're so close that they can't see the forest for the trees. They're so into it, they just don't have that separation anymore. And that's just this man's opinion. If I'm hurting anyone's feelings at the SEC, I am sorry. I'm really sorry. But you know what? I'm more sorry for people who, were buying stock in a company and not knowing 5 years ago that they were buying stock from someone that was shorting it to them, that had already shorted 69 plus million shares and were going to go for 70 million shares short, which is 140% of the free float. I'm sorry for those people who had no idea that they were buying into a company that was being nailed by hedge funds all over the place, including, was it Melvin Capital, what are they called? Those guys have been short since 2014. They were short this stuff. Never had to disclose it, never had to talk to anyone about it, because the SEC didn't make them. There was no rule saying they had to. If they owned one share of IBM, they'd have to disclose their ownership of one share of IBM to everyone every month, because Melvin Capital was dealing with customer money. But when it comes to shorting 1 million shares of GameStop, or 4 million or 8 million, or whatever the number was that they were into, and all the other guys combined, 70 million shares short, no one had to say a dang thing to anyone the entire time. And I'm looking at the SEC going, why are these disclosure rules so one-sided against short sales? Why is it just long positions that you have to declare, not short positions? I'm kind of wondering about that. I get it. If I'm a mutual fund, or if I'm a hedge fund, or I'm a pension fund, I'm an institutional investor, and I buy up stock in GameStop as a long-term investment. I have the resources, the experience, the staff, the lawyers on hand, securities lawyers. I can make phone calls before I put in a buy order. As a matter of fact, if I'm a pension fund, I will probably have had a series of board meetings behind closed doors, top secret, no listening devices, where we're scheming around the table, and we're talking to the manager in charge of long-term investments, short and medium-term investment specialist, the short-term investment specialist, the risk assessment specialist, and the lawyers, and all our handlers. And we've gone over the GameStop story for weeks, and we've investigated the GameStop story. And one of the things we figured out, because we know how to do this, is what the short position is on that stock. We know, because we're institutional investors who know what the hell we're doing. But then we do pay these people that I'm talking to, we pay them between $100,000 and $500,000 a year each, plus their assistants. And we pay these lawyers unbelievable amount of money. We're paying millions of dollars to be in this business because we're handling billions of dollars on behalf of our pensioners. And so we do our due diligence. And so we know that, that we're likely buying whatever shares we're going to get in GameStop at $4.50 a share. We're probably buying a bunch of that stock from shorters. But that's the point. We want to be doing that. We actually are thinking that's a good thing, because if we pick up 1 million shares of GameStop and figure we'll wait up to 5 years to get a return, and even then we'll review it, we might wait another 5 years. We've got forever to do this. Our pension fund constantly has new money coming in every month from these paycheck deductions that are coming through. We're flowing cash all the time. And the amount of money we're putting into GameStop is 1/100th of 1% of everything we manage. It's not a problem. So we've got the resources and the time and the patience and the knowledge to pick this up, and we'll buy 1 million shares and put it away. Average investor out there wants to buy 100 shares at $4.50 a share, $450 buy, using Red Robin or Robinhood or Fidelity or whatever. They don't know where this stock is coming from. Of course, they don't generally care, but if they did know that someone said to them, oh, by the way, listen, that 100 shares you want to buy of GameStop, just want to let you know that for every 100 shares that are out there free trading, there are 140 additional shares free trading that people don't own, that they've sold into the market because they think the company is going to zero. They've put up enough money to short 70 million shares of the stock you're going to buy 100 of. They have enough money to short 70 million shares and cover the carrying costs, cover the margin requirements, and prepare to take the risk that they're wrong. And they probably have an average of $15 a share on this stuff. In other words, they've got like $1 billion bet plus margin and carrying charges riding on the fact that you are the idiot and you're going to get taken out to zero. Just want you to know. Now, do you still want to buy the 100 shares or not? Because that would be a fair question to ask an investor and put an investor in a reasonable position to make a decision to take the chance or not. Because the first chance you take is, well, I'm going to buy it at $4.50. I know the stores, and I go to the store. My kid likes to buy stuff at the store. I think they're going to be around a while. That's good to know. But did you also know there are professionals out there in hedge funds with tens of billions of dollars each behind it? There are all kinds of hedge funds with, there might be $200 billion of power out there that have shorted $1 billion of this stock and are prepared to carry it until this company is dead. Do you really want to buy $450 worth of this stuff, or do you want to put that into Amazon or something else? A lot of people might have thought otherwise. Why would the SEC allow hedge funds to do that kind of shorting to that kind of level? Why would they allow any short sales situation to happen where 140% of the free floating stock, the equivalent of, is shorted? So there's 70 million outstanding, 50 million can free trade, and there's 70 million shorted. That means there's 120 million shares that can change hands all the time, but only 50 million actually exists. The other 70 million has been sold to be bought back later, I guess. And that 20 million that's over here is management and insiders that it's not for sale. How does the SEC allow that? How do they monitor that? Isn't there a rule somewhere that says when you get to a certain percentage, you can't short anymore? Or a rule that says if you as a brokerage firm are dealing with a client that wants to short stock and you can't borrow it because you couldn't borrow the last 20 million. You could borrow the first 50 million theoretically, but the last 20 million, you can't borrow that. Don't you think that maybe that would be a stop right there on shorts? Like the SEC would say, oh, no, you reach your limit, can't short any more stock unless someone buys theirs back, then you can short that, but you can't go over 50 million because that's all that can free trade. Apparently, no, there's apparently no rule. I didn't hear anyone from the Congress, though, ask anyone that I recall about that rule, about that situation, because those people there that were there yesterday, they don't have to know that rule. They don't enforce a rule like that. They don't have to enforce. They all have their own little, fiefdom that they run, and they've done nothing wrong, they say. Where's the SEC yesterday? Why weren't they front and center? And I'd like to know, who would you call from the SEC anyway? I mean, how many thousands of employees do they have? Which one do you bring up to answer these questions? Because I can tell you that they're never going to bring up the head of the SEC. I mean, they're not going to get that guy or that girl. There's no one to call because there's no one running the show. There is no rules. The rules are administered by the houses themselves and the clearing firms. Oh, by the way, did you notice there was no one yesterday at the meeting from the clearinghouse? What's that called? The DTCC, the firm that clears these trades between brokerage firms. Nobody was there from that outfit, and they're the ones who apparently told Robinhood that the cost of you being able to buy and sell GameStop has just gone way, way up per share because of the risk factor. I didn't hear anyone there answering any questions from Congress from that firm, because they're the ones who caused the problem, I thought, because I know that Robinhood passed the buck quickly. It wasn't our decision. It was the clearinghouse that told us that all these shares right here, that we can't let anyone buy them. Who made that call? And how do you make that call? Under what SEC rule is this? There are none. I'm going to get right to the point. There are no rules. There's no rules. And that's why you can make up whatever you want when you make it up. It's just okay. And it works perfectly if you're the brokerage house. It works perfectly if you're Citadel doing these payment for order flow trades. It's perfect for them. It's perfect for the hedge funds because they're not under restrictions like you are. It's not perfect for retail investors. And the SEC says we didn't cause a problem. We're not the problem. We didn't make this happen. And the direct to order flow or the clearing houses, they're going, well, we're just protecting investors. That's all we're doing. And there's no one to blame. There's nobody to blame. And when you restrict buying, you generally have a stock that goes down in price. As a matter of fact, you might have 12 stocks that went down in price, or 15, whatever the number was. I think they all went down in price substantially over a few days. And there's no one to, who do you sue? Who sues who? Everyone's suing Robinhood because that's the obvious target. But Robinhood is going to defend themselves going, we didn't make the rule. We were told not to allow people to buy. That we're just following orders. Maybe they'll still be convicted because, soldiers that followed orders for the Germans during the Second World War, still got in trouble. Maybe Robinhood will get in some kind of trouble. But the DTCC and the SEC, good luck suing these guys. Multi-trillion-dollar power, endless power to defend. Good luck with that. Anyway, I didn't hear any of that last year. I didn't hear that yesterday for hours and hours and hours. And I was kind of curious about all that. Payment for order flow. I hope I was able to explain that to you guys, how this works. Payment for order flow. Doesn't matter what the price of the stock is. Doesn't matter the spread, because the spread can be less than a penny for the entities to make money. It's just how many shares. Just tell me numbers. How many are you trading? That's all we want to know. Can I put together 1,000 on the buy and 1,000 on the sell every nanosecond for thousands of different companies at a time, and just let the computers go. And then if you stand over to the side of the computer, you could pretend it's a slot machine with the coins coming out. You just see these pennies coming out all the time, and they go into this big barrel. And it just fills it up, and they bring another barrel, and they bring in another, and they got these guys who wheel those full barrels. They put them into these big vats, and they spin them out, and out come dollar bills. It's all in my head. It's all done virtually. It's all done virtually, and transfers are made daily between Citadel and Robinhood. And the DTCC and the other brokerage houses, there's money transferring back and forth all the time, all electronically, and into your account, all electronically. It's all on your phone. It's all on your hand. And you could be taking a break at work and sitting in the bathroom and doing your number one and number two and trading stock. That's how handy it is. It's so wonderful. It's the whole new video game that was just invented in the last 5-10 years. And it is a multi-billion-dollar if not trillion-dollar business, and it's growing very quickly. And everybody wants to keep it going. Everybody. Every bank wants it to keep going. Every brokerage firm wants it to keep going. Every customer wants it to keep going because they love the convenience of it. Day traders love it. Public companies love it. Everybody wants this to keep going. The one group that does not understand it very well is Congress, because they're not in the business. They're in the business of being politicians. You want to talk to them about how to get elected every 2 years? That's where you go. Talk to the Congress people about how to get elected every 2 years. They're professionals at that. But you want to talk to people about how to handle a platform trading system on the stock markets. You don't go to Congress for that. You go to the people who are in the biz, and Mr. Tanev is the guy. You notice how old he is? I think he just started shaving a few weeks ago. Got the haircut from the 80s. I mean, man, what can I say? Anyway, a young guy, worth a lot of money. And if they are successful in pulling off the unthinkable, that they actually think they can pull off a prospectus and go public later this year. If they actually pull this off, which will be an amazing trick as far as I'm concerned, because the amount of public relations that they've blown out the door and the number of lawsuits they're fighting, I'm going to be impressed if they pull that off. But if they do pull that off, and I don't care what the price is per share when they start trading, you're looking at a guy who's going to be a multi-billionaire. The minute that company is publicly traded, he's a multi-billionaire. He's already worth billions now in paper, kind of in a private company, but the minute Robinhood is a public entity and can trade, he and a number of his partners, multi-billionaires, and he's, what is he, 30, 35? Gonna be around a while. This guy's gonna be around a while, and if you found him a little hard to listen to, because those answers sure sounded the same almost each and every time, get ready for more, because this guy has been so heavily trained by his lawyers what you cannot say and what you will say and how you will say what you will say. There had to have been cheater Coles notes underneath the camera. Just down here, he was probably looking at all kinds of Coles notes. That's exactly how to answer these questions. As the politicians were rattling off their little spiel, he was probably turning to page 14 on this guy. I know how to answer this guy's question. And then, page 5 on this one. And he was just going through the motions. If you thought it was heartfelt, off-the-cuff answers, think again. I've been around too long. I'm too old. Gosh darn it. I've just, that's my problem. I've been around too long, and some people don't like it because I kind of tell it like I see it. And what I'm seeing is what I've seen for 40 plus years in my own little way here and there. And it's now down to an absolute fine art of presentation. And that word is gentle. There's other words I could use, but I don't want to do that. In any event, there you have it. That was yesterday. GameStop right now is Are we even open yet? Let me take a look. And we're opening now. I guess we're opening now. Or are we open already? Whatever it is. Welcome all. Yeah, we're opening now. 41.26. Last trade up 57 cents means nothing. That's the pre-market. Let's see what happens. That's right. MG says you're too old. There you go. MG, something tells me you're old too, but maybe old in spirit. The Dow up 57, 60 points at the end of the pre-market. S&P up 13, NASDAQ up 72. Crude down 60 odd cents a barrel to 59.92, interestingly. And we'll see how this thing goes. Yeah, there they are. They're clapping. They're clapping on CNBC. So they're open now. We're beginning to trade, and we'll see how things work on the opening here this morning. Will there be any kind of a recovery for GameStop after having a lovely drubbing for the last 2 hours of the day yesterday? Just ridiculous how it backed off, but it did what it did. I have it at 41.50 right now on the opening, up 81 cents. And we'll see what's going on here. You know, I love the guy who was the investor. What was his name? Yeah, not a cat. You know, that guy who says he's not a cat. I loved him. He wanted to talk about the company. I still like the company. He says I'd still buy it. I'd still be buying this thing. He's made money and he's in it for the long haul. Yeah, I really liked how he operated. Liked his attitude. He was upfront about it. GameStop 41.97, popping up now. And he was probably the most straightforward of everybody, answering questions. He even had a series of yes and no answers. Did any of you notice that? The investor was able to answer a number of questions in a yes or no way where no one else could do that. Because everyone else was coached by their lawyers to say, there's no way you're getting into that trap to say a yes or no to any of these trick questions that some of these guys are asking you. There's no way. You're going to thank the congressman for the question and thank you for the opportunity to address this with you. That's the game these guys are playing. And they played it. They tried to use up as much of the 5 minutes as possible with every answer they were giving these guys. Where the investor was going, the guy said, can you give me a yes or no answer? Do you still own the shares? Yes. Talk about this guy being deceptive. I mean, you know, that's pulling a fast one. How dare you answer a question that quick? The congressman didn't know what to do. Oh, you still in the stock? Oh, okay. Would you recommend other people to still get the stock? Yeah. Oh, okay. So you're saying then, that's what I said. Yeah. Next question. You only got 5 minutes, buddy. I'm trying to help you out here. You didn't notice 10 of doing that, or the Citadel guy. The Citadel guy is talking about the complex nature of on-market and off-market transactions and the clearing of funds and the T1 and the S1 and the S2 and the humming and ding and the dong and the ding, and you're just going, what is this guy doing? Oh, I know. He's stalling for time because he knows he's only got 5 minutes. And then he only took 2 minutes to do his spiel to his constituents. He's only got 3 minutes left. If I can take a minute for every question this guy asks me, he's only going to ask me 3 questions. I'm not even going to answer each question. I'm going to waste so much time on this guy. Oh, it's a beautiful game. It's just a beautiful game. Unbelievable. These are the people that make millions of dollars a year while you and I slog it out in the street. Yes. What can I say? But they went to the right schools and they come from the right families. And so we should cut them a break. Too much fun, kids. Too much fun. 41.41 on GameStop, up 72 cents. You know, it's not down a buck or two, but that's where it is. Gore's Holdings, 1993. Look what happened to that while I was away, huh? Those shares just were not coming down. I was kind of hoping that they would be available in that 15 range, but they just weren't. I mean, this Gore's Holding that's going to merge with Matterport. Look at those shares when they announced the deal. Right there, boom, it just took off, and it's now up into this $20 region. Absolutely amazing. And then here, the Virgin Group Acquisition Corporation, interesting run. I mean, it had the big spike when they announced their deal, and it's come back down. I'm thrilled at $13.30. If any of you are thinking of getting this thing because they're merging with 23andMe, this is the price right here. Yep, pick up all you want. Just pick it up, put it away, buy it for cash. GameStop, $41 a share. Unfortunately, it's just hanging around 656,000 traded. There's no volume, but there's no corporate news. The company has done the absolute right thing. They just shut the hell up. They're not saying a dang thing. Why would they talk? Why would they say anything to anyone right now? Because no matter what they say, an outlet, a blog, a vlog, a whatever, will spin it and interpret it the way they want and just slam these guys, because everything wrong with the market is a GameStop situation. That right now, so they're right now they're doing this. So the shares are under pressure. They're a buy. If you're a long-term investor, they're a buy. But unfortunately, they're caught up in this whirlwind. This is going to take a few days to calm down. Next week, I think we'll be all right. AMC up 16 cents to 567. Movie theaters aren't opening all over the place. Bed Bath & Beyond, 26.37. For the last week or so, it's been a downhill slide. From here all the way down. It got into that 28.80, 29 range, and it unfortunately it's backed off again. Over at BlackBerry, 1092. Not a good week for BlackBerry. Look at that. Down. Kind of cratered the last 2.5 days, hasn't it? And then over here at Bumble, the dating site, they went public. I love this deal. I'm being sarcastic. I don't love this deal. Anyone who was foolish enough to buy this on the initial IPO to pay the first trade, you got to be kidding yourself. You're not making any money on this thing. It's still sitting at $75 a share. I'm amazed it's still there. I'm just amazed. I don't know. Cruise stocks. What's going on with cruise stocks? What's wrong with the cruise stocks? They're all up. Why are the cruise shares up a little bit again? Norwegian and Carnival are up almost $1 today, and over at Royal Caribbean, they're up 269 to 77.82. Fundamentally, not looking good. I'm wondering all about that. Unbelievable, folks. Thank you for joining me today. Thanks for popping in. I'm gonna try to read some of your comments because I know you've been just begging me to talk to you. I had to get through my rant. Geo Designer, thank you for this donation. Hey, Bruce, the guy's name is Keith Gill. That's right. AKA Roaring Kitty. A legend. Sweet guy, honest, very smart. Yeah, I like him. I immediately like this guy. I didn't watch him like through this. I had to just listen to my car radio. I liked him. The other guys came off as not so likable. My name is Alec. How you doing, Mr. Bruce? I'm happy to be here. I'm happy you're here too. Thank you for joining me today. Travis, how you doing, buddy? They delayed for their lawyers to teleprompt them. That's right. I wouldn't be surprised if the lawyers were sitting in the room just off camera and they were feeding him notes like you cannot believe. Jeff Moss. Hey, VGAC Sand IPOE. Let's go. Okay. Well, that deal's happening. Those two mergers are happening for Gores Holdings and for Virgin Acquisition Group, Virgin Group Acquisition. Those deals are happening. They're just in the middle of it now, probably in the first 2 to 3 weeks of a 10-week process or something like that, or 8-week. Going to happen, and I think it's a positive. I think they're going to be fine. Keith Gill, that's right. David, you got it. The most honest person on the panel. Absolutely. I think he's straight up. Thank you, Stonks Doctor. Absolutely. Hey, did you see my new mug? Came in. I got mugs in here. We got GameStop with Bruce mugs that have arrived. I got mine, and I've got my own stock markets with Bruce. One of this version. I got more to make. I have much more to produce. But I hope you're getting. Those of you who've ordered your own, I hope you're getting yours. And those of you who are getting the postcards, I know some of you have been telling me you've been getting your postcards that I've mailed out. I hope you're getting yours too. Fantastic. I appreciate that. Bill says, Bruce, your comments about electric cars and green energy were wrong. You're way too optimistic. Other than that, I enjoy your videos. Oh, thank you, Bill, for that. I believe the electric cars, the way it's going to go, although hydrogen, they keep talking about that. And I would love to see more on the electronic side because of the fewer moving parts. Definitely much better. But hey, to each his own. It is what you are. Donk stock. It's easy to give straightforward answers when you're telling the truth. Yeah. If you're a a lie detector machine operator. You don't want to have TANF wired up because the guy just won't answer a question. I just want yes or no answers. Is your name TANF? Well, thank you, Congressman, for the question. I really appreciate that thorough and honest approach to your investigation. No. Is your name TANF? Oh, thank you, Congressman, for the opportunity to answer. No. You're not listening to me. Yes, Christy, because he was the only one telling the truth, confidence spoke volumes yesterday. That's right. He had nothing to hide. He wasn't afraid of anybody. And anyone trying to sue this guy, you're in trouble. You're in trouble. You're going to get nothing. This guy is not a promoter. This guy's not a pump and dump artist. You're barking up the wrong tree. So we'll see what happens. My guess is that if he needs to raise money for a defense fund, he can do a crowdfunding, and I'm sure he'll raise millions to defend himself. And I actually would love to have him hire a bunch of lawyers to crush the guys who are trying to sue him. That's what I'd like to see. But that's just me. I'm just, what can I say? Giuseppe, welcome back, Bruce. I want to ask you if you could explain a little, what's the link between GameStop and the retail ETF XRT? As best as I can guess, there are ETFs, exchange traded funds, that specialize in certain types of stocks. Like you'll have your computer chip makers, there'll be an ETF for that. You'll have software creating companies, you'll have automotive, you'll have real estate ETFs, and so on. Well, here you have a retail ETF. So these are retail stores, Dick's Sporting Goods, Target, Walmart, Costco, all retailers, including GameStop. And so they'll have maybe 30, 50, 80, 100 public companies that are all operating retail entities, and they'll have $50 million under administration. They got 50 stocks they like, and then they'll allocate so much money for each one. They won't put in $1 million for each one though. But in the case of GameStop, they might have $500,000 into it. They might have $2 million into Costco, again, depending on the size of the company and the weight of the stock inside that ETF. The capitalization of the corporation has a lot to do with it. So if GameStop prices go up, stock prices go up, the capital value of the company goes up, which means they have to increase their exposure inside their ETF to reflect the size of the company inside the ETF compared to the other companies. So if Costco is worth $300 billion and GameStop is worth $3 billion, it's 1% versus the other. But if GameStop goes up to $12 billion because its stock goes up, it's now worth 4% of the value of Costco. And so they would buy more GameStop to reflect that higher number. And that's what's been going on with these ETFs the last number of weeks. When GameStop was at $4 or $5 a share a few months ago, got to $10, $12 a share, $15 a share, $18 a share, $20, $25. Then it took off and went crazy. They had to up their numbers. Then it came back down, and then it came back up, and then it come back down. And now they're adjusting. And they still have more GameStop now inside ETFs than 6 months ago. So when GameStop was worth $4 a share versus $40 a share, there's still more GameStop inside ETFs than there used to be 6 months ago. But between then and now, that number has been higher because of the nature of the business. Does that help you? I hope that helps you. And they're adjusting all the time. They're adjusting all the time. All right. Yeah, there we go. Alexander, Keith Gill's a good faith actor. There you have it. There you go. Yeah, if you don't have anything to hide, you don't have to remember what you've said previously because you're just saying the same thing every time. Yeah, funny how that works. Can't wait for the movie on him. Oh, what do we got here? Folks, thank you for popping in, seeing me today, spending some time. Appreciate this. I'm just trying to catch up on your messages as they're coming through here. Thank you for those of you who've been making donations. Those of you who've been making donations on my PayPal account, thank you for that too. Very helpful. All right, who else? Yeah, Danielle, some of those questions were amazing. Questionnaire would ramble on for several minutes and then ask you a yes or no. Yeah, that's what they do. These guys are grandstanding. These politicians, they're grandstanders. They're not actually there to really get to the bottom of this because they can't get to the bottom of it. They don't know what it means. I shake my head when you get these politicians trying to ask people like the head of Facebook or the head of Google. They want to ask them questions about they're asking them how emails work. I mean, you're wasting everyone's time. Why don't you hire professionals to ask these guys? But that's not how it's done. What can I say? Vlad the Evader, thank you for your question. There you go, William. Yes, it's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Oh my gosh. Terrace is saying up 50% on GHVI. Great call, Bruce. I only wish it backed off. It might still do so, but it's at 1937 now. It's done, well since the announcement. It's done well. It's kind of hoping to get that 14, 15, 16 range, or more 15 range. But I think once the merger is done, it'll go even higher. I just do. Same thing with the Virgin Group at 13.24. This is the buy point that I was hoping you would get. This is a great entry point right here. If any of you want to take advantage of this stock, I think you'll be very happy with it as well. But anyway, there you go. Let's see. James is saying GHVI's got YouTubers behind it. I got in at Gores at 13.11. Fantastic. James, I know a lot of us averaged down on the VGAC yesterday. Well done. VGAC about to pop. Let's see. I'm not a cat. Yes. If all politicians were more like AOC, humanity would be much better off. I didn't hear her question yesterday. I missed it. We had to stop a few times on the way home, and maybe her question was when I missed it. But I do enjoy her questions. She usually tries to get to the point. Sakura, VGAC going down because of the lawsuit and 23andMe CEO's tirade on social media. Maybe, but I just think it's the timing until it gets done. That's my personal opinion. It take 2 to 3 months to get done. That's all. Anyway, we'll see. Gene therapy is the future. Let's see here. GHV was a good play. I got in the 14s out of 17s, made about $6,000. Hey, and hopefully it'll back off. You can do it again. Whatever you think. What do we got here? Nicholas, Bruce, what do you think about the federal government looking at some assistance for American semiconductor companies? And do you see this driving the stock price up even more on semiconductor in particular? Yeah, okay. I have no sympathy for semiconductor manufacturing companies. They're not short on cash. They haven't been in a recession for 15 years and having a tough time of it. They can't keep up with orders. I think every semiconductor they're making is pre-sold. I would bet you that they've pre-sold their production for the next year or longer. They don't need any help from any government whatsoever. I don't know where the national emergency is for the United States to help out its own semiconductor business. I don't see it. The only way I would see the U.S. government get involved with this industry in a legitimate way, as far as I'm concerned, is if the semiconductors were needed in the time of war for missile defense systems or cruise missiles or radar system. I mean, national defense. If you're at war, and you're in need of certain weaponry, and this is the industry that and they're U.S. based. They have U.S. based factories, so of course, you're not importing from China or Russia. Then okay, I can see the U.S. government telling these guys, don't make chips for retail sale of gaming systems for games on the PlayStation 5. Just make chips only for the U.S. military. I can see the Defense Act being enacted here. They will not need any money. They'll just be legislated to do what they have to do. Otherwise, they'll be nationalized temporarily, taken over by the U.S. government. Defense will walk in there, run the business, and then when they've done what they've done and the war is over, they'll give the business back. Look, Ford and General Motors, they were delighted to stop producing passenger cars in 1941, whatever year it was, and for 5 years make nothing but B-52 bombers and the Sherman tanks
and the gun systems and cannons and artillery shells and whatever else. Yeah, they made all the Jeeps and whatever, not a problem, because they got paid the checks from the U.S. government, from the Defense Department and the Air Force to pay for all those items. Those checks didn't bounce. Ford was delighted because they were not going to be selling very many passenger cars to passengers, because the buyers of a lot of those cars were gentlemen who were wearing uniforms overseas fighting a war. They weren't in the showroom trying to buy a new, Ford machine, a Ford car. So I can see where in this issue here, the only way the U.S. government should get involved if it's a national security issue, and making computers for laptops is not a national security issue at all. There is no interference for American retailers to bring in merchandise that requires chips. Yeah, there's delays in getting them, but that's not a national security problem for the United States or anyone else for that matter. I think all of the defense departments around the world are having no issues getting their so-called defensive systems delivered on time for whatever they need it for, to cause whatever they need to cause. For the rest of us, yeah, maybe our Sony PlayStation 5 is delayed from GameStop because GameStop can't get it from Sony because Sony can't get the parts because the parts are behind. Yeah, okay. But is that a national security issue that requires the United States government to put money into a semiconductor company? I don't think so. No. I think it's time for the semiconductor companies to put more capital into their business. And if you need capital, there's a place called Wall Street where you can borrow billions and billions of dollars at virtually no interest rates. If you have a going business like a semiconductor company, I mean, you can get money for 1-2%. Inflation is 3%. Cruise lines who have no customers, no cash flow, will have no customers or cash flow for almost another year. They can raise billions of dollars at 5.75% interest, which is unthinkable for a company that is going to guarantee lose billions of dollars between now and next year. Semiconductors are guaranteed to make money the minute they produce that semiconductor. They've sold it for top dollar. They don't need government help. They just got to get off their duffs and get to work. But that's a private matter, I think. What can I say? Bradley still thinks I'm pimping GameStop. What can I say? All right. Stonks. Keith, get as many people as you can to write to GameStop Investor Relations to sign the petition online. I agree with you. Let's see here. Bumble going public. Where have you been? Where have I been? Oh man, you don't know where I've been? Do you not watch this channel? Are you a Johnny Come Lately? And you want now me to tell you where I've been for the last 3 days when you haven't been a loyal viewer of this? I was in Calgary for a couple of days, had some business to take care of. I'm back. It's all good. All right, Bruce, what are your thoughts on Amazon potentially looking to acquire AMC? What do you think an announcement like that would do to the stock? I don't know why on earth Amazon would want anything to do with AMC. What is the fit there? What? I don't see why Amazon would want AMC. What are you going to do with it? AMC doesn't own anything. AMC leases space from building operators that built for them these theaters. They don't distribute items through the mail, through UPS. They don't have a highly coordinated order take system for product. What does AMC do? I don't know why Amazon would need AMC. There you go. Now, what do you think the announcement would do to the stock? Well, if anybody tried to take over AMC, it might be the way to answer your question. If any other company tried to take over AMC, what would that do for the stock? Well, if I were the buyer, and I have tons of cash, and I'm a public company. Let's say I'm already a public company, and I got cash, and I got my stock, and I could print certificates from my treasury. The last thing I want to do is make a deal where I try to acquire AMC at a too high a price. I mean, I would be going to AMC as the buyer of last resort. But these guys at AMC have made some very impressive moves, I think, on a corporate level in the last 2-3 months to stave off elimination. I got to hand it to them. I mean, they have done some really smart moves corporately to convert debt into stock or renegotiate debt obligations. They've raised money by issuing paper. I mean, they've made some serious moves. Is it enough to survive that one? I don't know, but they're not in a position of strength to negotiate a great deal for their shareholders. I mean, the AMC is in a world of trouble with regards to how much money they still owe and how little cash flow they're going to be generating, and the fact that they're not going to be realistically operating in their theaters for quite some time. The stock at 560, here we go, up 9 cents here. Sure, for the year, they had it higher, not too long ago, on a nice little run, but that might have been an anomaly to get it anywhere near $20. To me, if I were a public company and I was trying to get these guys, I would only offer AMC shareholders paper in my company, and I would offer them stock at $5 or $6 a share. I mean, I wouldn't even give them a premium, because the company is in no position to negotiate a better deal as far as I can see. But that's just me being a hard-nosed buyer. I mean, I'm not interested in taking over AMC to make you rich because you own the stock. That's not what I'm interested in. I'm interested in buying a company that I can salvage. But I'm on the outside looking into AMC going, oh man, we got this pandemic going, and we got the rollout of the vaccine going. We got these hybrids, these variants coming out. We got Hollywood and other studios holding back releases of their movies. This does not look good. This could be another year before this company has any kind of semblance of normalcy again, which tells me between now and a year from now, this company would need another $1 billion to survive, or whatever the number is, because some landlords are negotiable with AMC, others are not. They're going to just kick them out and say, get out, and we'll sue you for what you owe us, and we'll just, we're going to gut this theater and we're going to turn it into a warehouse or whatever we're going to do with it, because we're not going to wait. So I don't know what AMC's solid plan looks like. I'd have to really go into the books here. So I would not be eager to buy them. Again, I don't know why would Amazon want to buy them? Because they're cheap, maybe this is the moment they can get them cheap and then wait out the pandemic, and then 5 years from now it's a $25, $35 stock, and that's not part of my corporate thing. And I don't know. I don't know why you want to do it. So if I could be more specific, I would, but that's just off the top of my head. What can I say? Boom. JG, should we put more money into average down since the markets were red yesterday? Well, as I've said a million times out there, if you've got cash flow, and you have more funds available from time to time to put into the marketplace, you can either put market into new positions of stocks you've never owned before to diversify, or you can add to what you have already. Now, if you've got GameStop and you're averaging over $100 a share, or over $150 a share, over $200 a share, this is a good place to get some more. Yeah, of course. 51 was a good price. 41 here, good price. Just, you're into this story about the company going completely over to the e-commerce side, like they're going to do, like they did with Chewy. If this company's going to become kind of a Chewy for the gaming game, plus a whole lot more involvement, then okay, pick it up. Yeah, for sure. And if it brings your average down, great. If every month or so you got a couple $100 or $500 every month to throw into this thing, then just keep buying it. Yeah, just average down. You'll get to the point eventually where you'll have a much lower average price, where even a partial recovery to this, from 40 to 60 or from 55 to 75, or that kind of a move would probably already put you into the positive side of the ledger. Yeah, good plan. If you're sitting on $250 stock and you're not going to buy anymore, but you're not going to sell it, you're going to wait this out. Well, you're going to wait. Yeah, of course. How long is the magic question? Well, how long you got? Because if you're in a hurry, you might not be very happy with what's going to happen to you. But if you're a long-term holder, because again, you like the corporate story, then wait it out. I like the idea that if this company is in any way equated as a similar kind of company to Chewy, then this stock will be a lot higher because Chewy trades at a very good premium. And I think this one will too. That's just my take on it all. I'm just double checking something here. Yeah, Chewy right now is $113 a share, roughly. There are, let's say, there's that many outstanding. I've had this dilemma in my mind here. I've got this block, a mental block about Chewy. There are 95 million shares outstanding, they say, but the market cap is $45 billion. The stock's trading at $113 a share. And my crude brain says if you multiply the 95 million shares outstanding times $113 per share that it's trading at, you don't come out with $45 billion. And so that's where I'm wondering, what am I missing here? Are there other classes of shares that exist that I don't know about or that I'm not paying attention to? Because it's not showing here on my Market Watch page. I know there are 77 free trading shares, 77 million out of the 95 million that exist. But even at $100 a share, that would make the company a $9.5 billion market cap, not $45 billion. So I'm somewhat at a loss as to why that is. If anyone knows why I'm missing this mathematical equation, I am not above asking for help for that. I would love to hear it. Anyway, there you go. Averaging down, not a bad idea. WHRD, VGAC 1330. That's a buy now. Yes, I think so. Good to see you, says Jacob. Hey, Jacob, how you doing? Thank you for being here today. Let's see. So Tyler is saying hedge funds are shorting XRT to cover their GameStop shorts, but are then buying long positions in all of the other companies except GameStop. So in essence, net shorting GameStop in the backhanded way. I don't think so. I don't know. That's not effective. Not an effective strategy. You're never going to be able to break up your XRT certificates and get the shares that they represent. You're not going to get those. So I'm not sure how that's going to work out. Bruce, do you think we're entering a market crash after only 2 days? No, the Dow's up 96 or 99 now. NASDAQ up 73, S&P up 13. No, I don't think so. Not enough panic selling to create a market sell-off of any doom. And with a $1.9 trillion stimulus plan coming through, and I think all of it is coming. I think all of it. There's going to be so much money sloshing around that the market's going to go higher. There might be more inflation, but the Treasury's prepared to take that heat if that happens. I'm just saying. Evan wants any news on this? No, nothing new. Nothing bad. Nothing. No, it's just waiting for it to happen. Here you go. 3 to 6 months. Ride it out. That's right. Pick it up low and enjoy the ride. Any thoughts on this tanking? No. I'm happy it's here. I've been calling for it to come back here. I really have. 14, 15, 13. I'm happy. Pick it up. I think you can do well. What else is going on? Sundial being buried. Sundial. I've never been a fan of the stock, so I got nothing on that one. Let's see here. What else is going on? They're just trying to. There's a bunch of your comments coming. Thank you for being here today, everybody. I appreciate these. John, thank you for your question, Congressperson. It's a very important question. Let me tell you that in a brief history of Robinhood, it all started when there was a 5-year-old Bulgarian refugee. Right. Oh, man. Andrew, thank you for this comment. Folks, thank you for hitting the thumbs up button for me on this live show. We have 512 thumbs ups right now. If you could kindly please go to that and hit the thumbs up for us. We got to get that over 1,000 today. There's 1,300 of you here. Please hit the thumbs up button. Get some momentum going for this show. YouTube will show this telecast off to more potential viewers, and they will find out all about what we think of the stocks and what we think about the market, and the more the merrier. We need a bunch of more people coming to the party. Makes it even better. We're now at 604 right there. We just blew through 600. Thank you for hitting those thumbs ups button if you could. Pump it up. 628. There you guys go. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. 635 and counting. Love those thumbs ups. That really helps. I'm reclaiming my time, says Haley. David says, I don't remember her being there. AOC. I didn't hear her either, so maybe she wasn't. Maybe she's not on the committee. I don't know. Anyway. David laughing out loud, reclaiming my time. Oh man, what else have we got here? All kinds of people asking questions about AOC. Thank you, Matt, for that. I'm glad to be back too. What are your thoughts on Nano Dimension planning to invest soon? Don't know anything about them. I've never heard of them. I have no idea who they are. B-17s and B-29s. That's what was being built in Detroit. True. Tesla making EV tanks. Interesting. Let's see here. Yeah, here we go. Stonks. Fortunately, I agree with Keith. But anyone who's made it to the level of a U.S. representative or senator is, by definition, a career politician. Hey, what do you think of Ted Cruz going to Cancun with his family to escape the Texas problem? Did you like that? I got a real kick out of that. He came back. He came back.
You can already buy T-shirts that say "Cruising for a Bruising."
Cruising for a Bruising T-shirts are already available.
I love people so much.
Jen loves that one. Cruising for a Bruising T-shirts are available right now. Oh, way to go, Ted. What I don't like is the fact that as soon as Ted got caught, out of the country in Cancun while Texas was freezing to death, his home state, people started referring to him as a Canadian because he was born in Calgary. And we don't like that. We know he was born in Calgary. We in Canada know he was born and lived his first 4 years of his life in Calgary, Alberta, where my daughter lives. We don't want him back. Okay. We don't, he renounced his citizenship. He's an American now. He's yours. You got it. You keep him. We don't want him back. No, thank you. Lion Ted. We don't need that scumbag back here.
But ask them, doesn't that mean he can't be president?
Yeah, well, yeah. Jennifer's thinking there's no way he could be president. He wasn't born an American.
Isn't that a rule?
Isn't that a rule for the presidency that you have to be born on U.S. soil, not become an American? Because Arnold Schwarzenegger became an American. He can't run for president. I don't think Lion Ted can run either. But he sure looked humble, didn't he? Oh boy, Stephen, thank you for your donation. If a call expires today and it's out of the money, can it expire worthless, or does it have to be sold to close? If it's in the money, it has to sell to close or buy correct. If it's out of the money, at the end of the day today, it will be worthless. There will be no value to it. If it's in the money, it will only be worth what it's in the money. So if it's GameStop and you have a $40 call contract that you own and the stock closes at $41, or it's trading at $41 1 second before the end of the day, your contract is worth $1 a share, which is $100. The contract represents 100 shares. But if you've got a $45 call contract, and the stock's at $41 at the bell, it has a zero value because it's $4 out of the money. So that's how that works. I hope that clears that up. Lion Biden. You just need anyone can run for president. You just need a lot of printers to print up all those votes. Let's see here. Okay. Some folks are not as optimistic about GameStop as others. My guess is GameStop valuation right now is $30. My opinion, based on the fundamentals, I think GameStop is worth 30ish now. But if Bruce is saying it comes a reality, then GameStop has got a lot more going to it. Well, to each his own. It's all good. Yes, you have to be born here, but he did run against Trump in 2016. The only reason we got Trump as the Republican candidate was because everyone hates Ted Cruz. Houston Dog Behavior and Training is saying Ted Cruz was investigating Mexico to find our stolen electricity. That's what he's doing. He's protecting us Texans. He's doing the right thing for Texans. Oh man. All he did was drop off his daughters. He flew right back. That's all he was just making sure they got there safely. That's all. He couldn't hire anyone. There's no staffer for that. He had to do it himself.
It was his daughters.
Yeah. Bruce has false news, says Jay Hubs. Got him, says Walt. Why do Canucks think they know anything about American politics? Why do you Canadians think you know it all? Why? Oh, I don't know, because we're bombarded with your coverage all the time, and we can't help but have to watch what you're up to just to see what's going on. And when you sleep next to an elephant and an elephant sneezes, you pay attention because it might roll over on you. I don't know. No other reason we want to know what's going on. Tux the Penguin Bruce of Virgin Group is classed as a complex instrument. Is this something to be concerned about? No, I don't know what that even means. All he did was drop his daughters off. He came right back. Bruce, you have to be born an American citizen. If born out of the country, then your parental heritage must be USA. So maybe that's how he did it. Maybe because he had American parents and he's renounced and now he's okay. Or maybe that's what it was. I don't know. I know Trump put up a squawk about it. What can I say? All right. Flying Ted. That's right. He's Flying Ted now. He's Flying Ted. What a great guy. He flew his daughters down there and dropped them off, make sure things are right. And he came back, Oh, man, Cruz can run. Trump told Ted that Mexico took the power grid. So go check it out there, buddy. Flying Ted. He's going to make Mexico pay to fix the Texas power grid. Man, Mexico will pay. That's right, because they pay for everything. Yes, they're paying. Fishmonger, GameStop is now selling high-end gaming computers on their website. That's new. You're going to see a lot of new stuff on the website of GameStop. A whole bunch of new stuff. We've only just begun, kids. I think. Eric, his wife, a Goldman Sachs manager, is clearly too incompetent to manage two teenagers on her own. So we needed Ted to fly them down to Cancun. That's right. Not financial advice, just my opinion. Ted Cruz is a senator. State issues are for the governor and state legislature and local mayors. There you go. Thank you. Yes. Ted doesn't have to worry about any Texas issues being from Texas. No. He just goes to Washington and handles the U.S. Senate needs for the United States. So he cares just as much for New York State as he does for Texas, as he does for Washington, as he does for Wyoming. He does not have to worry about Texas issues because that's what the governor of Texas is there for. That's why they get elected. Right on. Damn Canadians, wrench horn. Arvin, please get Mrs. Bruce to say hi. We would love to see her. You haven't donated enough money to this channel to see her. You're never gonna. No, she's so expensive. You gotta understand. I'll show you. Let me give you an idea of what you're talking about here. Okay, you're talking about a woman that looks like this woman right here. There she is right there. You think that she's gonna make an appearance on this little channel? That's not. No, that can't. No, it can't happen. My Jen is no, sorry, no, she's not going to do it. She's not doing it. Bren his mother is a United States citizen when he was born, therefore the natural born citizen extends to him. There you go. Thank you. Sneezing elephant. You're welcome. You're welcome for the news. I want to be Canadian. Oh man, here's one. You should have seen Ted's face when Sean Hannity suggested he could have worked remotely from Cancun. So this whole thing wasn't even a big deal. Ted is a big man. He's not going to be at the beach with Rita right now. He's a little upset. Yeah, there you go. All kinds of Canadian politicians got caught leaving Canada in the middle of the COVID crisis. Oh, they all came back with their tails between their legs, and a bunch of them got fired. Oh yeah. So much fun. What can I say? Fled Cruz. Ted Cruz did what the Mexicans have been doing, crossing the border to find water and electricity. He's just doing what everyone else is doing. That elephant reference just cracked me up. For all you Canadians obsessed with American politics, are all Canadians? Well, we follow you. Oh yeah, we're only 35 million up here. You guys, 350 plus million of you guys, and you guys are crazy. We Canadians, we're sane, stable people, We love hockey, and we love Timbits, and we love curling. We love we get all our tension out at the curling rink when we yell at the rocks, hurry, hurry. So we know how to get. We don't. What can I say? We just have too much fun. We love you guys. Ted Cruz is a parasite, says. Oh man, no one Canada is sneaking into America right now. Yeah, I gotta say, a lot of my Canadian friends, we're kind of going, this might not be the time to head down south for a little R&R. It's just a little too dicey down there, and just a little too, maybe. Damn Canadians and their money sink pot stocks. You sound like my Canadian mother, says Jay Hobbs. Oh, man. We are a symbolic northern territory of the United States, says Samuel. There you go. Oh, man. I'll tell you. Oh, gosh. What can I say? I remember, this is going back a long time. I know you like a good story. I thought I'd give you a story today. Well, I just thought of this, just like on the cuff. It just happened to me. So this wasn't the story I was planning to tell you, but I'm going to tell you this little story. This is going back to about 1971. I was about 16 at the time. So I was kind of, out of the childhood years and becoming the teenager, adult kind of guy. And I heard something on the Canadian radio that really stuck with me. And here I am, 65. I still know. And it happened. It was about a guy named Gordon Sinclair. Now, this guy named Gordon Sinclair was a columnist for one of the big newspapers in Ontario, Toronto, national columnist. He was also on television. We had game shows, in those days, and he would be on the game show and stuff. So he was, you'd know him because I could see his face. Go, oh, that's Gordon Sinclair. And when this came out in 1971, Gordon Sinclair at this time was probably in his 60s already. But in 1971, a 65-year-old man we would now look and say, oh, that guy was 85 years old, because today 65 is the new 45. You know how it is. Anyway, that I digress. Anyway, Gordon Sinclair was so upset with how America was being perceived and being commented on by Canadians and other countries that he decided to do something about it. And I thought this was really cool. He went into a recording studio, and I think he may have made one of the first rap records ever done. He didn't intend to do this as a rap record. What he did was he went into a recording studio, and there was a soundtrack being played behind him, and then he was just talking. And he had written a piece that he just read with the music going behind him. And it was not a song. It was not a something you'd sing by the campfire. It was just Gordon Sinclair ranting about how America is getting a bum rap from around the world because America is great. And most Canadians who heard this agreed with him. And that really upset the liberal media in Canada, because the liberal media, the left-leaning, full of the socialist dogma and all that. And the liberal media in Canada is trying to say to the Canadians, don't let the Americans take over your culture, and, listen to Canadian poets and read Canadian magazines. And, that's because these liberals are writing in these magazines, and they want you to keep buying it because that's how they make a living, because no American publication will pick these guys up. Anyway, so Gordon Sinclair makes this recording, and it gets released, and it becomes national news in Canada. But it also got picked up by American radio stations. They found out about it. They got their hands on it, and they played the recording in the United States. And Gordon Sinclair was getting all of these love letters from Americans thanking him for mentioning the good stuff that America does, which is a lot. And I thought this is really interesting, because I, as a 16-year-old, was never getting the America the good. I was only getting hit by my school teachers. My so-called influencers when I was 16 were my high school teachers, because there was no internet. There was no Google, there was no YouTube, there were no influencers I could go to like kids can today. I mean, that's where your influencers are for your 16-year-olds now. And so here I'm hearing this national story about Gordon Sinclair creating a stir in Canada about how could he do this? I mean, oh, this is just ridiculous. And then from the American side, where the news that I was listening to, I was getting snippets of news reports coming from the United States, where local news stations were picking up this story and would play a clip of the record and then talk about how Gordon Sinclair, a national columnist in Canada, is telling Canadians how great America is. And I found that to be really, really interesting. And I've always had a soft spot in my heart for the US of A. Of course, my entire upbringing as a child in Canada, you cannot help but be dominated by US entertainment, the movies, the cartoons, the comedy shows on television. I mean, we're watching All in the Family, we're watching, Full House, we're watching, you name it, anything, all the dramas, and all the movies are, it's all US centered, of course. So we Canadian kids, we're all indoctrinated into the American way. We get it. We understand a lot of what makes America work. But we also know, what we also do know is we know geography as part of our education, and the school does make sure, our schools make sure we do know where the Mississippi River is, and we do know where where Miami is located, or where how the Caribbean, and Mexico and Panama and all that were. And we study that. We have tests. We have to know where LA is. We have to know where St. Louis is, and on and on and on and on. So whenever in Canada, when we used to watch Jay Leno, and he would go out on the street and interview people, and of course, you know how it worked. He'd be taping for hours, and they would talk to dozens of people, and they would take the 6 dumbest people on the street and make them the typical person on the street, which of course is totally ridiculous. You could do just the same thing in Canada and get exactly the same result. So we would see Jay Leno show them a map with no names and borders on it, and ask them where Toronto is, and they'd have no clue. Where's New York? They don't know. But again, you stop 15 people on the street. One of them, is completely clueless. 3 or 4 have an idea, and the rest know exactly where everything is. You're not going to get those folks on camera. You're only going to get the ones who don't know. Anyway, so we would, occasionally I would go to school the next day, and someone would say, "Did you see that yesterday? They don't even know where that is." And then I would try to explain to them that, look, it's a comedy show. And if I were Jay Leno and my producer and my director, this is how I would run this skit, But anyway, I digress. Love America, always have, always will, have friends in the USA, and we follow you guys. Yeah, we really do. No kidding. Europe follows you guys. Everyone follows you guys. When I lived in the Cayman Islands for a few years with Jennifer and Jennifer Jr., we got satellite television down there. And they also had their basic TV package through their national. Remember, when I say national, it's an island, okay, of 35,000 people, now 50,000 people. The country of the Cayman Islands, it's just a territory of the UK. They had their national TV system set up, and you would get 30 channels. Or you could get a satellite dish, and you would get 300. At first, we were watching the local channels. Well, you couldn't get anything from Canada. The only thing, even though we were in the Commonwealth, as was Cayman Islands, the Queen is on the money, we could get anything from Canada. So I would get a satellite dish, and we'd get all the U.S. everything, which is what we wanted, the local Canadian stuff, because you had to take it, and then we would actually even get some CBC television out of Canada, which for us, being 2,000 miles south or whatever the distance was kind of nice to see something from home. But I can tell you that every Canadian, when it comes to Super Bowl time, we get upset in Canada when we don't get to watch your Super Bowl commercials. We get really upset because the Canadian stations cut in when your ads come on, and they show us Canadian commercials, which are the same commercials we see all the time. And it just makes us really angry because we know about certain commercials that are coming on Super Bowl Sunday, and we've seen like snippets on CNN, or we've seen stuff on Google, but now we want to watch the actual commercial and we don't get them. So we get really upset. So there was a big movement during the last federal election to demand from politicians that if you get elected, you have to change the act, the television act, to allow Canadians to view U.S. commercials on U.S. television stations that we're paying to watch. And that went through for a while, and then it didn't, and it's all up in the air. So we Canadians, we love America, and we want more of it, and we don't want to have Canada shoved down our throats like we have had forever. Just so you know what's going on up here, just kind of give you an idea of what's really going on up here. Anyway. Oh man. A question here from Calignoir. Hey Bruce, what do you think the chances are that the cruise lines secure their assets with preferred creditors and then bankrupt the name to get out from under the junk bonds and the stocks? Not good, because apparently the way Carnival and Royal Caribbean and Norwegian, they were able to raise $20 billion so far, almost all of it, through secured notes on all their assets, and there are too many entities, and so you can't legally stiff one group of investors versus another. You have to put the whole thing in bankruptcy and then come out the other side. How and what, that might be determined at that point, but I don't think they're going to be able to really do that unless they completely go under, and everyone will lose something. Certainly the preferred creditors will have the most protection, but if Carnival went under, 96 ships now would be insolvency, in bankruptcy, and now would all have to come out individually, and this is millions per ship. This is going to take years to undo, and these ships are getting older every day. They're sitting in the water, in salt water, being eaten alive. Not a good thing. They don't want that to happen, I think. Anyway, that's just me. Let's see. Here we go. Ted Cruz made fun of California when it went through its blackout. What can I say? All right. Laugh out loud, donate more money to see the missus. You're killing me, Bruce. Jason, what can I say? She will not make an appearance. You guys just don't have enough money to get her on the air. You just don't. She's never given me a price, which means you don't have it. It's okay. It's all right. You're just going to have to let her, you have to listen to her from time to time. It's all I can give you. It's all I can do. What was that? What was that? A sextant on your mask? Yes, that's right. That is true. I do have these kinds of COVID masks. We have Traveling with Bruce COVID masks like this, or you can get one of these right here. We also have, these are on our Redbubble store, Traveling with Bruce COVID masks. I wear this one all the time around town. I wear this one all the time. I've got several of them. I even have this one, the TWB Anchor COVID mask. We've sold a ton of these, just a ton of them. Yeah. So here I am wearing my COVID mask. Absolutely. It's a big hit. And now we have these, incredible, just never a dull moment with this channel and the other channel, Traveling with Bruce. Okay. Let's see if we go on a cruise, we'll see Jen. Yes, that's true. And the only way you're going to get to see Jen is to go on a group cruise with us. And that's the way to do it. And we were planning to do 2 already. We were supposed to do one last December. We're supposed to have done one this month. Both got canceled. So we'll let you know when we have the next one figured out. So I'm thinking 2023. Maybe we'll see what's going on. What else is going on here? Let me just double check. GameStop 42.62, 42.70, up a couple of bucks. Go GameStop. Go. Canadian politics is boring. Oh man. I love this channel. I'm cracking up over here, says Wargot. He must have seen the Florida Man news reports, Hortons, Crocono. Yeah, we have a Crocono board. I also love hockey and Canadian strip clubs. I'm from Michigan, and curling is a lot of fun. I have downstairs my own hockey game, a tabletop hockey game. Jen gave me a present for Christmas 2 years ago. With her brother, they found a 1962 hockey game, tabletop hockey game from 1962, Toronto Maple Leafs versus the Montreal Canadiens. And she gave me that for Christmas. And so I have downstairs one of those where you move the thing back and forth and you turn it with the players go around and around and around. Yep, I got one of those, baby. I had one of those when I was a kid. And if I had that game now as an adult in mint condition like it was when I was a kid, it'd be worth a lot of money. But of course, I didn't take care of my toys. Who did? Who did? Juan, Bruce, love to see your general perspective as a fellow Canadian. Let's see more. I think you're the only Canadian stock market YouTuber out there. Cheers from Ontario. Thank you, Juan Lima. Thank you. Come on. Have you seen our politicians? Sorry. Canadians live. What is it through us? I guess since GameStop's over, we'll all bash America. See, that's what people think I do. They think I bash America when I actually love America. I actually love America so much. I talk about it a lot, and then people go, he's bashing us because he's talking about us all the time. How dare that Canadian talk about us like that all the time? Sorry, kids. Love America. JD, buy guns and ammo, boys, not financial advice. Governor General is important. They're the pump the brakes position that keeps the government from running away and avoids the pitfalls of a republic. Well, there you go. We do have a Senate, but they're not elected. They're appointed. Yes, and you're appointed for life. Well, now you're appointed till you're 75. So the prime minister selects senators, and so you have a liberal prime minister, and then you get a conservative prime minister next government, and then you get a liberal again, and you get a conservative. So over the years, the Senate is filled with all kinds of people. Where the current prime minister, Trudeau, he's been selecting senators to say, I'm not appointing liberal senators. I'm not appointing conservative senators. I'm just appointing senators that can just do what you want. We don't want politics in the Senate, so we're just going to pick independents. You don't have to be one or the other. And so as time goes by, they are aging out, and the old liberals and the old conservatives are slowly fading out as they retire and the new blood comes in. But you only make appointments about once or twice a year, and it's 5 or 10 at a time. Most Canadians, we couldn't care less. We really don't even care. We don't pay attention to it. Our Governor General is a representative of the Queen. We couldn't care less. Only the political junkies care. They're like into this stuff. Most of us are too busy trying to survive and get by and pay our bills, just like you guys. We just don't care. Anyway, there you have it. Let's see what's going on. I found the recording on what's going on. I found the recording on YouTube. Gordon Sinclair. I bet you can't find that. Gordon Sinclair recording about America. You can find it. I'm guessing it's 70s, early 70s. I can't tell you the exact year because that's a long time ago. But yeah, there you go. So that's where it's all started, says Wrenchinator. Top-notch fear-mongering. Whenever the government runs away, the Governor General dissolves government. We have an election. It can be anytime. Yeah, we can have an election anytime. How many times has your President Trudeau blackfaced? We don't know. I think once for sure. They caught him once in the 80s or something. And we don't care. Like we care, but we don't care. It's not a big deal. He leads by example with his cabinet choices and stuff. And we kind of go, do you want to be outraged forever? Is he walking around like that today? No. What are his policies now? He allows in more refugees from around the world than previous prime ministers. And these people aren't white. They're from all over the third world and war-torn, and that's kind of the way we are. And but we do have people who have problems with colored people. Oh, please, Canada. Oh, have we got problems up here? We're not saints, but we try. We just love our Tim Hortons. Honestly, USA loves Canada as much as others say otherwise. We have Americans who come up here and have a great time all the time. We go down south, have a great time all the time. We all of us hate our politicians. We are the same there. You get Americans and Canadians together in a private house where you can say whatever you want. No one overhears you. We're just like you guys, and you're just like us. But what can I say? So much media, man. It's too much. Oh man. Rocky and Bullwinkle was actually on documentary and living in Quebec. advertising everywhere in the USA. Hi from Lithuania. Hello from Lithuania. Oh, man. The War of 1812 was a conflict fought between the United States and its allies and the United Kingdom of Great Britain. We won. We burned down the White House. We did. We burned down the White House. Matt, Canada gave us corner gas. That's right. Canada gave you Schitt's Creek and corner gas. Oh, man. Bruce, have you ever traveled to Australia? We would love to have you down here. Canadians and Aussies have a lot in common. Oh, I tell you, we get Aussies coming up here all the time. Well, until the pandemic. We have Aussies coming up here all the time, and we love Aussies. Aussies love us. We travel down there. I've not been to Australia. It's a bucket list. New Zealand, Australia, bucket list for myself, no question. Can't wait for the day. MacGyver, someone says. Seinfeld. Bet your geography didn't teach where Lithuania is. We had to know Europe more or less, but unfortunately, the reality of the situation was when I was in high school, it was 1970, 69, 70 until 74. Soviet Union, the USSR, the Iron Curtain. There were now I, being a child of European parents who immigrated to Canada in 1952, I got the geography lesson. Oh, I got it at home and I loved it. I loved the way my dad would explain it to me. He would pull out the big map and we would go over the atlas together and he would show me, okay, now this is what it was like before the First World War. And then this is what it was like between the First World War and the Second World War. And this is what it was like during the Second World War. And this is what it was like after the Second World War. And here's what it's like today in 1970, whatever. And so we would look at the map together and he would show me where Lithuania was because my father was from Lithuania and my mother's from Germany. And so he would show, this is where I was born. Here's where your mother was born. And I go, that's so close. It's like nothing. He's going, I know, it's nothing. In Canada, you drive that distance to get a cup of coffee with relatives. But in Germany and in Europe, it's like, oh, it's a 2-day journey. And of course, with the Iron Curtain, you can't go from West Germany to Lithuania for a cup of coffee anymore. No, things have changed since, of course. But I used to watch that very carefully, very closely. I still own maps that my father, he didn't leave these to me, but my mother gave them to me because she said he knew you would really appreciate this. My father passed away in 2000. He was 71 at the time. So I have all of his road maps that he had for Europe that he purchased in the 70s when he used to travel to Europe with my mother on business. And again, in the 70s, the Iron Curtain was alive and well. You couldn't travel into East Germany. You couldn't go into Hungary, all that kind of stuff, unless you had papers and all kinds of pre-clearance and stuff. But he has these incredible roadmaps of Europe that were state-of-the-art efficient. The entire map would be the size of maybe a large envelope like this. And then it would open up. And you could unfold it, and depending on where you were, you would unfold it, and it would only be this big for the area you were at. And then as soon as you drove a little further north, you would refold the map and bring it out again. It would be the same size again, in with a hard cover on it, and with an elastic band that would hold it together. And it was just state-of-the-art perfection when it came to printing and designing these logistical maps that covered all of Western Europe, where you were allowed to drive with your car. Incredible. And I have those, and they were a fortune. They were a fortune to buy in those days. And I think mine are from 1974, and I will keep those. Yeah, those are pretty cool. Now, of course, it's all here. Your map is all here now, but those maps are pretty darn cool. One of those people will be able to redraw the map by hand from memory. Toronto's in Europe, right? Yes, Toronto's in Europe. Canada gave us corner gas forever grateful, says Matt. America loves Bruce. Thank you, America. I love America. Let's see. Ramzal, during the U.S. Civil War, the first Canadian female spy posed as a male Confederate soldier in the United States. She came back to Canada and collected her fake ID paycheck from Southern Confederates. Laugh out loud. The Cayman Islands. Bartering is back. Bruce, you're the man. 1812 went into the White House, burned her down. Hey, when Bruce was hiding from the IRS and the Caymans until the heat dropped, there you go. Are we still holding, boys? We'll trade gold for land. SCTV, that's another Canadian thing for you guys. That's right. Catherine O'Hara and John Candy and of course the Blues Brothers. You got Dan Aykroyd, Canadian boy, I believe, Canadian boy, Dan Aykroyd, if I recall. Oh yeah, so much Canadiana everywhere. Thoughts on Don Cherry? I miss him. I really miss him. I love Don Cherry. The demise of Don Cherry was really cruel, really pathetic. But it had been years in the making. The Liberals were waiting. The left-wingers were waiting for him to make one comment too many that would do him in. And up here in Canada, it did him in. In the U.S., he'd be a national hero. But down here or up here, it got him off the air. And I miss him. I really do. I think hockey night in Canada on Saturday night is not the same without Don Cherry. Coach's Corner. We miss him. If you ever want to watch YouTube, watch Don Cherry, Coach's Corner. You'll see him ranting away every first period of every game on Saturday nights for 30 years. The number one watched segment of hockey was Don Cherry's first intermission, Coach's Corner, for 30 years. Off the air 2 years ago. Hasn't been back since. He's now approaching 90 odd. God bless you, Don. Love you and miss you. Let's see. Yes, Cameron, you've got it. How can the Shorters continue kicking the can down the road? How can they do that? As long as they can afford the interest, they are paying interest to Citadel, right? Yeah, they're paying interest to whichever firm they're using to borrow the stock, and Citadel gets a piece, and the broker that is dealing with gets a piece, and there's money in them there. Hills, 43.29 on GameStop, up 260 a share. About time. Come on. Let's go. Move that market. That's only 3.7 million traded. I'm holding my AMC. The commercials are the best thing about the Super Bowl. Yeah, I agree with you, Tell. Was the first president a Native American? There you go. Let's see here. What else is going on here? Comments coming here. I'm trying to go through them. Because Super Bowl, we get boring Canadian commercials. Yeah, we get the same bank ads all the time. And we get Tim Horton commercials, but they're after you watch it 150 times, it's not very much fun. Here we go. Sweden is better at both ice hockey and curling than Canada. That means war. That means war. You don't like us. We're crazy. Don't be like us. We're crazy. Harry, Sweden also assumed that herd immunity would work against COVID. So, oh no. Hi, Bruce. Have you said anything about this? About what? About what? What am I missing? I don't know. Did you give me a message already? I don't know. Someone says you missed a super chat. I probably did miss a few. My name is Elling. Missed you, Bruce. Happy to be here. Oh, I've really not one. Talking too much. What can I say? I wish GameStop would just start listening to Bradley so I could get back in. Harry is going, tell the American society and political system is completely corrupted by the wealthy and their influence. We say that here in Canada too, honestly, we just do. What can I say? Here we go. Jeannie, I was living in West Bay, Cayman before the pandemic. Beautiful, love it, miss it. We lived in West Bay. We lived near Red Bay, I think too, but West Bay, that's up by the Serpent's Head. Yeah, we lived up there as well. We rented a condo up there, and we had a condo with our own swimming pool and hot jacuzzi, the spa, and a hammock higher underneath a shaded kind of portico thing. Oh, we loved it there. Beautiful. Went for bike rides up there all the time. And of course, I was only 42, 43 when we lived there. And so riding the bike was easy to do. And it was a lot of fun. Cayman, but it's expensive though. Very expensive. Here we go. Not in the mood for a name. GameStop is dead. You guys are delusional at this point. You're delusional. Well, it's 43.06 up 236. We'll take it. Damn, we ain't got it. Let's see. Bruce, the Virgin group is down a lot. What do you recommend? Pick it up. It's a deal here. I like it. What's it trading at now? It's trading at 13.17. Yeah, it's a deal. Let's see. Oh, let's see. Keep talking about Jen here. Oh my goodness! I can tell where I am in my conversation versus where I see your comments. I go, oh, this is about 10 minutes ago. I'm a little behind here. Thank you everybody for your patience as I'm trying to catch up with you. Let's see. Hey, Uncle Bruce. Glad you spent time with your girl. You told this story where a colleague of yours lost money selling naked calls that were just out of the money. Yeah. Why did he have to pay the firm back? The calls went into the money and he got exercised. And so he had to cough up the security. And that's where he got caught. He was caught short. He in effect was shorting, and he got caught with the short, and the market took off on him. And it was at that point, I think when it was all said and done, I think he was out 100,000 within like 4 days, when a house could be purchased for 110,000. So think about a house in your town. In Calgary, where I lived at the time, you could buy a house for 110 grand. Today, an average house in Calgary is about 500,000. And within 4 days, he was out the equivalent today of $500,000. And all he was trying to do was make a score of a couple thousand bucks per flip. He was trying to sell short contracts 2 days before they expired, 3 days, 4 days, trying to catch a little premium on the way out just to cash in on a out of the money contract. And the market completely turned on him, was in the money, and now he was caught. He had to make good on the delivery of the asset. And they bought him in. He was bought in. His firm was bought in by the firm that his firm dealt with, and then he, the position holder, was the one. And he had to. He basically renegotiated and remortgaged his own existence. Went to relatives for help. And I think within a year or so, a combination of renegotiating, like getting a second mortgage, and his parents getting a second mortgage on their house. And I mean, just, he really was up against it. And then he worked off the last 30,000 or something like that. Took him a couple of years to get out from under that one. Oh man, that was scary. That was scary. What can I say? And Tony, Bruce, I loved your story the other day about your comic book shop and your Superman death comic. I thought I would give you a story today. I was just thinking about that earlier. What story should I give you today? And I thought I'll give you a choice. You tell me what story you want to hear, okay? Story number 1 or story number 2. Story number 1 is about the Beatles, and story number 2 is about Tom Jones naked. So would you like to hear a Beatles story? Or would you like to hear the naked Tom Jones story? Which one would you like? So just tell me what you want to do, one or the other. So say Beatles or Tom Jones. Which would you like? Both. Oh man, too much. Naked Tom Jones. Beatles. Naked Tom Jones. I'll tell you both stories. I'll give you both. What the hey? All right. Let me tell you the Beatles story first, because that would happen first in chronological order. It actually had to do with my father, and I thought I've done a video on traveling with Bruce back in like the third month my channel existed. So this is 2017. Both of these stories, you can watch the video if you want, but I'll tell you the story from my perspective here. So the first story had to do with my father. And the year is 1962. We'll start there. And in 1962, my father, mother, myself, and my sister returned to Canada from Germany because my father was in the Canadian Army and had been posted over there for 3 years in the NATO forces, because it was West Germany, East Germany, the Iron Curtain. And so from West Germany, we went back to Canada at the end of 3 years in 1962, and we landed in Toronto, where my father's uncle lived, my father's mother's brother. And so there we were living in Uncle Albert's house. And we were there for about 3 weeks. And by that point in time, my parents had bought a house just outside of Toronto in a place called Bay Ridges, Ontario. And within a month, we were in the new house and new furniture was coming in. And I now know, as an adult, I now get it, how busy my mom and dad were when they came back to Canada from Germany. because they had to gather up their possessions, which were in storage in near Barrie, Ontario, about 90 miles away from Toronto. They were staying at the uncle's house, and they bought a house, and then they closed on it, did the banking on it, everything, and mortgage and all the paperwork, and getting the utilities all set up, and then getting furniture into this place, and then getting 2 children and themselves into this brand new house. And they did all that in like a month after arriving by boat, by ship, from Germany to Toronto. So my father now needed a job because his army days were over. He was on sort of vacation and leave for his last few months, and then his time with the army was up, and he was granted a discharge, everything fine. Now he needed a day job. He needed a job. And my dad got a job, I thought, the coolest job in the world. He got a job with a company called the Simpson Sears Company. Simpsons, big department store. Simpson Sears, you remember that name? Simpsons in Canada. And in downtown Toronto were 2 gigantic department stores, one beside the other. The Eaton's store, the Eaton's department store, and the Simpsons store. And my dad had a job in the toy department in Simpsons. The greatest job in the world, the toy department. And this was 1962, 63, just before the Beatles broke up. And he had that job for about a year. And it was his first job as a civilian since the army days. And from there, he kept his eyes open for anything else that would interest him. But for now, he had a job. And he got a job about a year later, a different job. He became, being a musician that he was in the Armed Forces band. He was in the marching band for the Army for all 3 years. They played all over Europe for all the other armies and Air Force regiments and Marines and parades and all the stuff. Anyway, so top-notch musician. He gets a job with a company, I think it was named Boozy and Hawkes, was the name of the company, Boozy and Hawkes, from Britain, the UK. They had a Canadian office in Ontario, I believe in Toronto, and they needed a traveling salesman to drive in the car, to drive all over the place, to sell musical instruments wholesale from Boozy and Hawkes to music stores. And they also sold musical instruments to school boards for musical instruction in schools, right? So my dad got a job with these guys in the music business, so he was happy. And they had offered him a salary plus a commission basis. And then they had a bonus structure. And this is where the story starts. It all came down to this bonus structure. And the deal was that whatever you sold as a salesman for the entire year would be tallied up. You would get your salary. And at the end of the year, based on the total amount you generated, you would get a bonus, a percentage bonus. And my dad worked his tail off, and he was the hardest working guy they'd ever had trying to sell musical instruments. And he could sell because he could play. So he traveled all over the place. And in November, December, he knew that he had reached this milestone number, whatever that number was, to get a bonus. And it was like a 10% bonus on gross sales. It was a substantial amount of money. I'm going to make a guess that my father was probably in line for a $10,000 to $20,000 cash bonus at the end of 1963. The house he bought was $11,500. That house today is $800,000 in Bay Ridges. We're talking dough. We're talking serious money. The car he was driving was a Volkswagen, a squareback station wagon. You could buy the car for $2,100. He was getting 5 cars worth of money. Like, I'm going to guess $10,000. And he knew that by November late, he had hit the number. And the deal was that he would go out to stores and he would write up orders and then submit the orders into the wholesale office. And then the office would get in these orders and they would process the orders, ship out the instruments, and they would bill the stores and they would collect the money and all that. My dad's job was, you're a salesman. Get the orders. We pay you on the orders. Christmas comes, he's expecting his bonus for the end of the year, and he gets a check for like $500. Doesn't get the big one. And he goes into the office after the holidays because they're closed for the holidays, and he goes to meet his manager. And his manager, he never really got along really well with the guy, but it was all right. But the manager was an ex-military man from the UK. He was an ex-captain in the British military. And he looked at my father as an immigrant from Lithuania with that heavy Lithuanian accent. And he looked down on him. And my dad went in and said, hey, I've got these all these orders I've generated. I was expecting a bonus. I hit the number like you told me to. And the manager said to him that the bonus is paid on all instruments shipped, not just orders. The orders have to be processed and shipped out and billed to the stores. And you didn't hit the number on time. And the reality was that the orders had come in October and November and would normally be turned around within a week. But what they did was they sat on the orders. They got his orders, but they put them in a drawer and they didn't deliver until late in December to purposely miss the cutoff so they wouldn't have to pay him the 10 grand. Okay, so he got screwed and he knows it, and there's not a damn thing he can do about it because he knows that too, because he asked others and he found out by doing some phone calls, because he knew other salesmen who, after a while you meet other salesmen on the road, and they said, don't ever work for those guys. They'll screw you every time. That's exactly what they do. They've screwed other guys, and you're just the latest victim in this whole deal. So my father, of course, tendered his resignation immediately and was never to work with them again, because they wanted him now to work another year to earn his bonus at the end of next year for the work he had already done this year, and he wasn't going to have this game because he didn't trust these guys as far as he could throw them. So my father's at home, and he's now looking for work again. And the phone call comes in. Getting to the story about the Beatles. The phone call comes in, Montreal. Mr. Ralph D. Mintz from the Ralph D. Mintz Music Company is on the phone. Mintz, M-I-N-T-Z, Jewish fellow from Montreal. He's talking to this Lithuanian fellow in Bay Ridges, Ontario. And in those days, I don't know if you were old enough, but you answered the phone, the big handle, it was pretty loud on the receivers. If you were standing within 3 or 4 feet, you could hear the conversation. And I'm just like a fly in the wall. I'm listening to this with great intensity. This is 1960, January 63. January 64, this is happening. The Beatles are hitting it big in Britain. They're big in England. We have no idea who they are in Canada yet. Mr. Mintz calls my father and says, I understand, Mr. Frommert, that you had an unfortunate incident with the Boozy and Hawks Company. They apparently are not paying you your bonus. He said, that is true, sir. And he knows who Mr. Mintz is, the owner of this company. Mr. Ralph D. Mintz from Montreal, Jewish gentleman who spoke fluent German, French, English, and Japanese. And there's the secret. Mr. Mintz spoke fluent Japanese and would travel to Japan twice a year to buy musical instruments made in Japan, import them into Canada, and distribute them across the country. He was the first wholesaler of Japanese instruments into North America. And he was noticing there was a bit of a thing happening here with kids, 15-year-old, 16-year-old, 18-year-old young guys they were doing the folk music thing, but now they wanted electric instruments as well. And he sensed something was brewing, and he had heard of these 4 guys out of Liverpool, and he was putting it together and going, I think I got to find factories in Japan that can make Fender and Gibson look-alike guitars, Japanese fakes, and bring them into the country. I need drums, amplifiers, bass guitars, all the stuff that these guys are playing, including electric keyboards and stuff. So he started to import that stuff. And he's talking to my father, and he says, I have 2 salesmen in Ontario that cover the entire province. Ontario's the size of Texas, at least the size of Texas, maybe almost Alaska. It's huge. I got 2 guys. One I just fired because he's useless. The other guy, I'm not very happy with them either, and I'm thinking of bringing in a new salesman. I understand you were a salesman for Boozy and Hawks. What territory would you want to do if you were going to keep working? He said, oh, my dad said, I would only work if I had the whole province. I'm not interested in sharing this with anyone else. I would want the whole province. He said, Mr. Frommert, if I were to offer you the job of all of Ontario, what kind of a package would you want? And my dad said, I'm tired of these chicken shit games about this bonus bullshit and all that crap. I want a straight up deal where I am paid for the business I generate the month I generate it. He said, very good. What kind of a draw do you need? He says, I need $1,000 a month. And I pay my own expenses and I get 10% of the wholesale action. So if he writes a $500 order, he gets $50 and he pays his own expenses, but he gets $1,000 on the 15th of each month so he can make his bills paid. And then commission is either above that, or he owes the house, but he would never do less than $10,000 a month in business. Mr. Mintz says, that sounds good to me. He said, would you be able to come to Montreal to visit me? Can you come? He said, I can drive up there. I can be there next day or so. Please drive up to Montreal. I will have a hotel room for you at the Queen Elizabeth Hotel, 5-star hotel. Save all your receipts. Fill up your tank with gas and bring me all the receipts. We'll pay for everything. You'll be my guest here for a couple of days. And I want you to see my warehouse and meet my staff, and we'll get you set up. So my dad went to Montreal and comes back 4 days later, got a job. That was January 1964. April 1964, the Beatles appear on the Ed Sullivan Show in front of 73 million screaming Americans. They took the world by storm. My father had already been driving for 2 months through all of Ontario, and had been visiting all these stores, the same customers he had before. Now he's with the Mr. Mintz company, and the show is on. And the next morning, the phone is ringing off the hook. My dad's house. The stores are calling my dad's personal home number to say, "Can you get me instruments? Because you said that you can import Japanese guitars and bass guitars and drum sets. My store is overrun with teenagers. They all want to become the next Beatles." And for every week after that, it just got more and more intense. And the deal that Mr. Mintz made with my father was that if any store calls Montreal to buy musical instruments directly from the factory, from the Montreal warehouse, my dad got the commission because it was his territory. No matter whether he wrote the order or an order came in, my dad got his 10%. And so he was, to say the least, very busy. And Mr. Mintz would travel to Japan and come, would order container loads of instruments and had a head start on everyone else in the country to get out these drum sets, amplifiers, and instruments. So I asked my father, Dad, and when I was like in my 40s, I said, Dad, you remember when you started working for the Mintz company and the Beatles thing happened? Oh, yeah. I said, how much money did you make in 64 and in 65 and in 66? How much money did you make as a salesman for the Mintz company? Because I know you opened your own music store in 66 because you had enough money made from doing this to do that. He said, in 1964, after expenses, I cleared $25,000. And I said, how much was your house when you bought it brand new? $12,000. I said, you made 2 houses in 1964. He says, and in 65 and in 66. Each year, I made $25,000 at least net after expenses each year for 3 consecutive years because of the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, the Animals, the Beach Boys, everything. I said, so in effect, in today's dollars, the house you had in Bay Ridges at the time, today's dollar, that's a $600,000, $700,000 house. He said, yeah, I was making the equivalent of $1.5 million a year as a traveling salesman selling instruments in Ontario for Mr. Mintz. And he said, let me tell you another story. He says, in 1964, I was getting paid monthly, so I didn't have to wait till the end of the year. I'm getting $3,000 a month, $3,500 a month in 64 from forward, because after expenses of 1,000, he cleared the remainder. One time, the Christmas that Christmas came up, he went to Montreal for the Christmas celebration, and he was talking to Mr. Mintz on his own, and was saying to him, "I don't understand something." And Mr. Mintz said, "What don't you understand?" He said, "Well, I was working for Boozy and Hawks, and they owed me $10,000, and they stiffed me for it. And the rumor is that the reason they stiffed him was because he would make more money than his manager, the captain, was going to make, the British captain. And so he screwed him so he wouldn't get it, and that the captain would be, I make more than my salesman. No, nobody makes more than me." He says, "But you're paying me this money, and yet, other companies would try to find a way to take it away from me." And he said, "Well, let me tell you something, Mr. Frommert. I want to pay you this money because you only get 10% off the top. I get the other 90% for my company. And out of that 90%, I pay all my staff and all my expenses. But there's a chunk left for me. I would rather I pay you double what I pay you now. I'm happy you're the highest paid employee in the company other than me, because you don't cost me anything. You're actually making me money. My accountant, I have to pay whether he is busy or not. My receptionist, I have to pay whether she's busy or not. In your case, I only pay you the big money if you generate it. And I wish I had one guy like you in every province in the country, but I don't. I have to divvy up these other territories because I can't find anyone that wants to work as hard as you want to work." And that was the story of the Beatles making my father, in effect, a millionaire in a roundabout way. He made him equal to a millionaire in 1964, 65, and 66. And because of that, he opened his own music store in Kitchener, Ontario, which I grew up in later. And he was able to stuff it full of merchandise, which he bought himself from his own account. So he got it at cost less the 10% plus an employee discount. He was able to fill his store up with all kinds of Ralph D. Mintz merchandise. And he even bought a few items from Boozy and Hawks once in a while, because they would have certain wind instruments that he could only get from those guys. And that was his story about the Beatles making. I had no idea as a child, as a 9-year-old boy, I would watch the Sullivan Show, and I would hear stuff about the Beatles, and I thought they were great, but I had no inkling that their success equaled the fact that everything in our house was paid for because of their success. It didn't dawn on me until actually I became an adult many years later. Because I never put it together. I just thought my dad worked his tail off, and he was just a great salesman, and work ethic. And it became in later years that I went, oh my God, it's the Beatles that made it, because I've seen so many shows about the Beatles over the years where they'll interview, for example, Billy Joel, and they'll interview other performers, and they'll say, my life turned around the night I saw the Beatles on the Ed Sullivan Show. Like Billy Joel said, I knew right then, I knew what I would do with my life. I would be a professional musician, because if those guys can do it from England, putting on some suits and playing in front of girls, I can do that. I can do that from here. I'm already here. I don't even have to come here. I live here. I'm in Long Island. And so all kinds of musicians became what they were because what they saw on the Ed Sullivan Show. I had no idea that my life was so impacted that way through my father because of that. And so I kind of think that's a cool story. I hope you like that story. The Beatles story, all about the thing. Did they get bought out by Long and McQuaid? I don't know, Terrence. I don't know if Long and McQuaid ever played them out. Do I play instruments? I did. I did play instruments, of course, in the music store. I like to play guitar, but more like chords. I don't read music. I did play the bass professionally, and I enjoyed playing the bass. I did play the drums as well, but I enjoyed the bass. I made the most money playing the bass guitar because I thought Paul McCartney was the coolest of all. You only had to learn 4 strings. I love that. So there you go. That is the Beatles story right there. And I hope you enjoyed it. The Tom Jones naked story. Let me tell you the Tom Jones getting naked story. This story takes place in Las Vegas, and it takes place in a 86 or so, 86, 87 or so. And it might have taken place more like 1988, 89. It doesn't matter. Anyway, was in Las Vegas with Jennifer, and my mom and dad were there, and we met them there. And my father introduced me to the idea of, when in Vegas, don't just sit on the casino floor and sit in front of a slot machine all the time or play blackjack. Enjoy all the other amenities that these resorts offer. And one of them is get yourself a body massage, a full massage in the spa. And for a spa pass, you get to use the thermal room, the steam rooms, the hot jacuzzis. You get a massage. And you get the shave inside the steam room, and it's just so soft. It's so wonderful. So I went with my dad the first time into one of these spas, and I loved it. I could see what my dad was talking about, because I see what you mean here. This is pretty good. So I met my parents in Vegas a few years later, Jennifer and I, and we're staying at the MGM Grand Hotel at that time, and I had booked myself a massage, and at like 2 in the afternoon, and I would be done by 4, because I'd go for an hour before to just hang out, get nice and loose, cleaned up, then get my massage, finish with a shower or so, get dressed, and I'm all done. So I arranged to meet my parents and Jennifer in a certain area of the casino at 4 o'clock. Fantastic. So 3 o'clock comes, or 2 o'clock comes, and I go down to the spa, the men's spa. And in those days, you went into a change area. You checked in. You went to a change area. You get all naked, put all your clothing in a locker, lock it up, and they give you a key that's on a little thing on your wrist. And you got a nice, big, soft morning coat. You wrap yourself up in that. Got a pair of flops, and you're on your way. And I had my reservation for my massage at 3 o'clock, and they said, "We'll come and get you at 5 to 3. We'll find you." And enjoy the spa amenities in the meantime. So I went and had a shower, and I grabbed some towels, and I wanted to go into the steam room. And the steam room in those days was big. It was a huge room. It had to have been about 15 feet across once you opened the door. And then there was a ceiling that had to be about 15, 20 feet high. And it was a long rectangular room, and you walk in there and you see you saw like a bench over here, like a table over here, where if you wanted to get soaped down by the guy, he'd soap you up, and then you just sit there and get all rinsed off. But I didn't want that. I just wanted to get a steam in there. And you walked in there with a couple of towels around your waist, and then you got to the end of the room, and there were these levels, all tile, white tile. And the first level would be like 2 feet high, and then be like a step, and there'd be another 2 feet, and then another step, and it went up 4 levels. And you could sit at the very top if you wanted, if you liked the heat up there, or you could sit towards the bottom. So as I'm coming into this room, it's steamy, and the steam is going shh. I love it. You can smell the aroma that they added some kind of a not sure, some echinacea, whatever that is, the aroma, your sinuses would just clear up right away. It was just fantastic, and I knew this is going to be great. So I'm walking towards the back of the room to get to where these steps are to go to the very top, and I can see 2 figures. I can see one person sort of over on this side on the second level, and one person right there at the ground level, right on the corner. And I'm slowly coming up, and I'm walking slowly, got my flops on, and I don't want to stub my toe, and like that. And I come to the area where I can walk up, and there's the first guy sitting right down there, and he's got 2 giant 2-liter bottles, plastic bottles, that are full of what I can see is water. And he's got a towel on his head, and he's got a towel around his lap, and he kind of looks up as I'm walking by, and I instantly recognize that's Tom Jones. Sir Tom Jones now, but that's Tom Jones. And he's looking, he goes, "Hello." I go, "Hello, sir. Nice to see you." And I very casually, the casual Canadian that I am, I'm not going to make a scene in front of Mr. Tom Jones. "Oh, I'm sure I see celebrities like you all the time. You're a dime a dozen." Good afternoon, sir. And then I just keep going up the stairs to the very top. And I'm sitting there and I'm just enjoying it. And I'm realizing just down there is Tom Jones. And then I'm wondering, well, who's this guy over here? And it turns out this guy is like me, a nobody. And he starts talking to Tom Jones. They start chatting because the steam machine stopped and it's just quiet now. And we're just in the nice heat, and slowly the steam lifts, it'll eases up, and then the machine will kick on again. But it's about a 5-minute window where there's no steam happening, but it's very calm, it's very nice. And this gentleman says, are you performing here right now? And he says, and starts talking, and of course, it's Tom Jones, the voice of Tom Jones. You can't miss it. Yes, I am. I'm performing 2 shows a day for 6 days a week, for a 3-week engagement. And he was into the second of 3 weeks or whatever it was, working his butt off. And it turns out that he was talking to this gentleman. He would come in every day in the afternoon for about a half an hour in the steam room because the air would loosen his vocal cords, and he would clean out his lungs and clean out his sinuses, and he would drink a bunch of water that he would bring in with him. And that's what he did every day to be able to perform for 2 hours per show, 2 shows a day, 6 days a week, singing the same songs every time. And today, there's no way any artist would be in the men's spa anymore, because now these guys are housed in suites that have their own spas, private everything, with the masseuse if you want it, all included in your gig. But in these days, 1980 whatever, he would come down and use this area, and you get a massage or not, if whatever you wanted. But that's where he would shave and take care of himself, get his hair looked after in the dressing room by whomever when it was showtime. And it was really interesting listening to this conversation, because the gentleman was asking him, well, didn't you start in the Caesar's Palace? And what year did you start in Caesar's Palace? He says, oh, yeah. He says, I used to be in Caesar when I first came over here, 1967 and 66, whatever the years were. And they were comparing musical directors. And this gentleman knew all of the Vegas orchestra leaders, and he knew the dance coordinators. He really was into showbiz, but he wasn't with Mr. Jones. They were just acquaintances. It was very interesting listening to. I just sat back and listened to these guys talk, and it was so interesting to hear behind the scenes Las Vegas showbiz talk that you don't hear on the floor. Anyway, everything's great. I eventually leave to get my massage. I have my massage. Everything's done. I'm all finished, and I come out, and my mother and my father and my beautiful Jennifer are waiting for me. And my mom says, how was your massage, and how was your spa? And I said, oh, Mom, it was absolutely fantastic. You're never going to guess who I had a steam bath with today, who I saw naked today. She goes, no, I have no idea. She says, I saw Mr. Tom Jones in the steam bath with me today. Tom and I had a steam bath together. And her eyes just lit up, because she was in her mid 40s at this point, late 40s. Her eyes lit up because she was right in that demographic. She says, so is it true what they say? I said, Mom, it's not polite for one man to look at another man's nether region in a steam because it's so steamy. I'd have to get pretty close to see for myself. It's not what I do. It's not kosher, Mom. But she was curious. Is it true what they say about Tom Jones? That's my Tom Jones story. I had a steam bath with Tom Jones in Las Vegas. Great guy, polite, soft-spoken, smart as a whip. Oh man, did he knew everybody in the biz. And these two guys were having a pleasant chat about. Jones was really enjoying it. He really loved the fact that he didn't have, oh, I've always loved your records and my mom loves you. And I mean, he just didn't need that crap. So this industry talk, oh, it just made his afternoon, just a talk shop with somebody. It was pretty cool. Anyway, so those are my two stories. The Beatles making my dad kind of a millionaire. And then this one over here, meeting Mr. Jones. It's is it so? Is it true? So is it true? Hope you enjoyed those today. I really did get a kick out of that, and I did make a couple of videos about it on the other channel. If you ever go to my other channel, Traveling with Bruce, you have to enter. I think you do a search bar thing and just do Tom Jones story or the Beatles story, and those videos might pop up on the search, and you can check them out. They were not high quality videos when I made them, so but yeah, this story is about the same. Fantastic. All right. Did you have a pen with you when you walked in there? Can you sign my... I love these comments. Fantastic, guys. Hope you enjoyed them. 41.83 on GameStop, up $1.14. Not going anywhere today. Hit a high of 43.87 so far today. It's certainly not backing off anymore from what I can see, but it's not recovering yesterday's loss either. The Dow is up 120 points. S&P up 1290. NASDAQ up 92. I did notice today there were a couple of upgrades mentioned by some of these analysts, which I always find interesting. Sometimes I find them interesting, quirky. Sometimes I find them interesting, stupid. Sometimes I just find them interesting, funny. It all depends. I noticed that a company called Roku, R-U-K-U, Roku, was upgraded by at least two brokerage firms today. One upgraded the stock from $260. This is Oppenheimer. They said it was $260. We're now giving it a $500 recommendation. And I'm thinking to myself, yesterday the congressmen were talking to Robinhood and Citadel and the guy over at Reddit there, giving him a hard time about how these stocks go to the moon and how investors could get taken and stuff like that. And here is Oppenheimer, the analyst, which is a senior firm in New York, talking about an upgrade, just a recommendation upgrade from $260 to $500. Now, if that isn't speculative, I don't know what is. A $240 upgrade on a $260 stock. Not to be outdone, Benchmark, the firm Benchmark, up Roku from 410 to 600. So they're thinking it's not going to 500. They think it's going to 600, and it's their previous estimate was 410. So speculation is alive and well on Wall Street. It's not just a GameStop issue. Palo Alto, the computer company out of California, from $315 to $440 by Mones, Crespi Hart brokerage. Then DraftKings, you've heard of DraftKings, former SPAC, went public at $10. It merged. DraftKings was merged into it. They've been upgraded from 65 to 80 by Oppenheimer as well. So that's a $15 bump, about 25% higher. Marriott Hotels, I found this interesting. Marriott Hotels has been bumped up by Deutsche Bank from $96 a share to $135. That's $41 a share on a $96 stock, a hotel stock, in the middle of a pandemic. They're obviously looking down the road with the virus being, dropped down and the vaccine going higher to more people. So they're looking forward to better days for Marriott. And then Hyatt, the hotel chain Hyatt, from $49 a share by Deutsche Bank to $69 a share. $20 bump in estimates for that stock for Hyatt hotel chain. $20 on a $49 stock, 40% upgrade call. There were many other upgrades today. Some were neutral, but I found some of these kind of interesting today, especially the Roku number to be virtually double, calling for a double, and the other one at least 50% more. Quite surprising to see that. Anyway, upgrades come all the time. Sometimes they make sense. Sometimes they seem to me to be way out there. When I was a broker, even a branch manager, into the 70s and the 80s, it would not be uncommon for an analyst to come out and say, we're upgrading the shares of Marriott from, say, $14 a share, and for the next year, we're expecting them to go to $18 a share, a $4 gain on a $14 stock. But they would never go from 14 to 30. They would never do that, because that means they missed the boat. They missed something. If they were saying it's going from 14 to 18, they're saying to you, this company's in a growth curve, and we already believe it'll run to this 18 level. We think you should buy it right now. But in 3 months from now, they came out and said, we think that $18 upgrade might be a bit light. We're upgrading that now to 22. So in effect, they're saying it was 14 back here. Now we're saying it's 22 up here. Well, that's an $8 upgrade. That's 50+%, but they're doing it in 2 stages. Nowadays, oh yeah, we said it was $260. We're now upgrading it to $500 a share. Not even saying 300 to 325. They're basically admitting, as far as they're concerned, that they missed the boat from 260 to 280 to 3. They're saying 500. The other outfit's saying 600. And so either things are moving so fast that they can't keep up, or they're so inept, and that's my hunch. They're inept and they're missing the obvious picture, and they were way conservative, and now they're going way up here. What can I say? That's what's going on. I know there are people out there saying Tesla is a $1,200 company. It's trading at barely, what is it now, 800 a share or so. Tesla is going to be $1,300, $1,400. Again, that to me is, you multiply that times 5. You're talking about a stock that's $7,000 pre-split. A year ago, it was trading at, what were they trading at a year ago? $200 a share. Now you're saying 7,000. Like that's nuts. Like that GameStop went from $20 to 400, and they're calling that speculative and stupid. Well, here, these guys are talking to certain companies that are going to reach $1,400 a share, when in reality they were only $200 a year ago. That's okay. From 200 to 7,000, that's okay because it's Tesla. But from $20 to 400, well, that's irresponsible, and that means a bunch of people are going to get lose a bunch of money. We got to put in new rules. It's so stupid. It's just amazing how they go from one extreme to the other, and they are justifying their own stupidity and their own amazing speculativeness, but they poo-poo the retail investor from ferreting out the fact that 140% of all free trading stock in GameStop is shorted, but that's irresponsible trading by people on these social sites. Theoretically, if Oppenheimer had come out with a report that said, that GameStop stock is 140% shorted against its free float, stock's trading at $6 a share, I think that should be worth $400 a share. That guy would be run out of town. He'd be out of business. His firm would fire him, say, you're irresponsible, you're not even near real, get out of here. If you say it's going to go from $6 to $10, we'll let you get away with that. But even if you said it was going to 100, that's irresponsible. Get out. But it went to 438, didn't it? Isn't that something? Yeah, funny how these things work for some stocks and not others. What can I say? Interesting for all that. Anyway, there you have it. We're coming up to the 3-hour mark, and that means I've got to say my goodbyes. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. I'm going to be on the air this afternoon, an hour before the close, 3 o'clock Eastern, for a 2-hour time visit this afternoon. So if you want to visit with me again this afternoon, I'll be back on the air at that point. And I'd love to have you pop by, and we'll compare notes and see what's going on. Thank you, all of you out there, for making donations here on the Super Chat for yours truly. I appreciate it very much. Those of you who've in the past made Super Chat or donations on PayPal, thank you for that as well. Thank you for these thumbs ups. I really appreciate the thumbs ups. That's helping a lot. We're going to take a look at thumbs ups right now. We're at where are we at right now? Thumbs ups on this show. 903. If we can get 97 more thumbs ups, we could break 1,000 for this show. If you like the Beatles story, you like the Tom Jones story, please consider hitting that thumbs up button and get us over 1,000 thumbs ups for this show. That would be tremendous for this channel's momentum. I appreciate that. 934 now on the thumbs ups. They're coming in. I appreciate it very much, guys. You're doing a tremendous favor to us. 955 thumbs up. 966. They're coming in. We are only 34 away from making the 1,000 thumbs up barrier a reality. I thank you all for that. 976 now. 24 to go. Beautiful. Appreciate it very, very much. 86, 14 to go. 986, 14 away. 993, 7 more thumbs up. Thank you also, those of you who are subscribing to Stock Markets with Bruce. We have been fluctuating on this 50,000 mark now for about a week or so, week and a half. Just hit 1,000 thumbs ups. Thank you, everybody. We've been trying to break this 50,000 barrier and get over it and pass it, but the channel fluctuates with subscribers. We're at 49,992, so we're 8 away from breaking 50,000 subscribers to Stock Markets with Bruce. those of you who've become the 50,000 subscriber, there probably might be 10 of you now. Thank you for doing it. I appreciate it very much. We are plugging along. Now that I'm back, hopefully be on the air all next week, every day, Monday to Friday. We'll have a regular schedule again, and we'll keep on growing the channel. Thank you very much. Did you know that Tom Jones had $2 million insurance on his chest hair back in the day? I think it was it Debbie Reynolds or was it no, there was an actress who was Gloria Gaynor, maybe. There was an actress and a dancer that had like $1 million of insurance on her legs. I think Greta Garbo may have had $1 million. Yeah, some of these folks have a serious insurance on certain body parts. But I don't know about Tom Jones and that thing. I don't know about that. I don't think so. What I always found really cool about Tom Jones was that he was married to the same gal the entire time from 1960 whatever until she passed away a few years ago. He's now a widower. He has outlived his wife. He was married but one time, and his family handled his finances. His son was his manager when he grew up. His daughters were involved. His wife was involved. It was a family business. And Tom Jones had a very tightly run, very well-disciplined family business. And that's why Mr. Jones never lost it all on a bad investment or tax issues. He never had income tax problems with the IRS. He was always on top of his bills, and he could concentrate on his craft, which he did very well. Very, very interesting stuff. Today at 7 o'clock Eastern, I'll be live as well on Traveling with Bruce for the sponsor member show tonight. Those of you some of you have become sponsor members of TWB lately, which I really appreciate you doing that. I'll be on the air 7 o'clock tonight for about an hour and a half. We'll have trivia tonight as well. I'm ready to go on tonight's trivia. And so we'll have some fun to loosen up and just hang out and just enjoy the week that was. And so I welcome any of you who would like to become a sponsor member of Traveling with Bruce. Head on over there, hit the join button, and pop in there. You get to see us twice a week, Mondays at 7 and Fridays now at 7 Eastern time for the Hangout Show. Thank you, all of you, for that. Guys, thank you for being with me today. Really appreciate it. Jones did not buy GameStop at $400 a share. No, he did not. Maybe he's buying today. Maybe he's buying at $41.96. This is a good deal. I don't know. We'll see what's going on. Thank you, all of you. We'll see you at 3 o'clock Eastern for the second show. We'll be on for a couple hours, 1 hour before the close and the first hour in the aftermarket. See how GameStop wants to perform and everybody else in the meantime. In the meantime, thank you. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Do what your doctor says. Don't get sick on me. And we'll catch up with you later today at 3 o'clock Eastern for this afternoon show. Okay, thanks for popping in, and appreciate all your comments. We'll see you later, everybody. Bye for now.